let's start the show.
It's June 5th, 2014. Welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. I'm Will Smith. I'm double beveraging today, guys. Norman Chan, how you doing?
I'm single beveraging.
Single beveraging? Just coffee today?
Just coffee.
Jeremy Williams, you seem to be staring intently at a computer screen.
I am also single beveraging.
You like your Phil's coffee, don't you?
How did you know that?
It says Phil's on your cup.
I have to give my shout out to Phil's because this is a mint mojito
Have you had
iced
that?
coffee.
That's my favorite.
Now I walked in there and I said, "Does anybody order that?"
That sounds revolting.
All the time.
She said,
It's the best
everybody
thing.
orders that, and I
Yes.
said, "I'll give it a shot." And this is a "Where have you been my whole life" kind of beverage.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
so
yes. Did you
mint-
get it cream?
Yeah.
Is there rum in there?
No.
It's just coffee, sugar, and mint and milk, and it's delicious.
Mint leaves.
Yeah.
Actual mint leaves. Phil's is if you don't live in the Bay Area, you don't know it, haven't experienced Phil's. It's Mark Zuckerberg's favorite coffee joint. Mm-hmm. There's one, I think, on Facebook campus.
I believe it's the only thing that costs money on the Facebook campus.
Is the Phil's.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Phil's
good.
got to pay rent.
That's right.
It's all over Palo Alto. I think it's the coffee they drank to fuel the coding of Facebook. But the way it works is when you walk into the coffee bar, it's like going to a bank. They're tellers,
Really?
barista tellers, where you walk up in a line and then you place your order.
So do you have to bet on which teller you're going to get in line for, or is it like one queue that funnels into all the
One
different
queue
tellers?
that fills into
Okay.
all of them.
Very efficient.
And then when you order something, they have hot coffee, of course, but they have delicious iced beverages, they make the hot coffee and then chill it with ice.
Mm-hmm.
And the
So they
mint
dilute
mojito,
the hot coffee?
the way they chill it, actually, it does not taste diluted.
Okay.
So,
I mean, you're going to get diluted coffee if you get an iced coffee, right?
Not necessarily. You can make it, well,
If you make it stronger.
when you put the ice in, it will begin diluting.
Yeah.
But you can like I cold brew at home, so that means the coffee's just cold the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And
You
then
could
you
also
pour that over ice.
have coffee ice cubes,
I've done a coffee ice cubes. That's too much of a pain in the ass.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
or like you said, make it stronger and then plan to do
Yeah.
the ratio.
Yeah. The easiest way is to just put the same amount of water in ice under the coffee that you're brewing. So you like put ice in your coffee pot, brew the coffee on top of it. That ice will melt, and you end up with exactly the right amount of water to coffee and all that.
Do you like mint mojitos?
Well, all mojitos are mint mojitos.
Do you like mojitos?
I am a fan of a mojito. I like a little lime juice. I like a
telling
little
you-
rum. I like sugar, and I like mint.
You got to try it.
It's sweet.
Does it have the limey taste?
No,
Just try it.
It's like a
No,
it's a-
not mine.
it's like a mint mocha without the chocolate.
It's delicious. And that's all there is to it.
And they asked you if you want it sweet and creamy.
Yeah.
And of course you want it sweet and creamy. Why
Who
wouldn't you want it?
doesn't want it sweet and creamy?
Yeah, that's a dumb question.
They also have ginger snap coffee, I think, is the other flavored one that's also really good.
Is that really good?
It's really good.
Wow.
Yeah. Get a little bit of a bite.
I'm generally anti-flavored coffee, as you guys might know, but I'll give this a try.
Live a little.
It's WWDC week. We're going to get to that in a minute, but we know that a lot of people don't like all the Apple talk, so we're going to do all of the other news first, and then we're going to tell you, just go away, stop listening. If you're going to bitch about us talking about Apple stuff, this is not the week to do it. So let's just start with this Amazon thing. There is a mysterious Amazon event on June 18th. They released a teaser video. I'm gonna play a little bit of the teaser video right here. I think I might have lost it actually. I'm gonna find the teaser video and then play it. Oh no, here it is. No, it isn't.
Oh boy.
This is a great segment already. I want you to think about, just listen to the video.
Why don't you play half the video and then you can interject and then
You think that's
Yes.
going to make it better?
yes.
I don't
Okay.
know.
Yes.
Here-
That is
absolutely.
awesome.
Oh, whoa.
It moved with me.
Well,
So
you
what we're
describe what's
seeing
going on right now.
is people looking down at their lap and saying these things.
You,
it's just
you don't see their lap.
No, you just see that. You just see a close-up shot of their head, and they're looking down, like
The idea
as
is
if
that
they're looking at their lap.
It's a teaser video, so they want to hide what these people are actually looking at. But they're looking down.
Oh.
That's really cool.
It's amazing. It's very real life and uncomparable to anything I've seen.
I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
This is neat. This is really neat.
Okay, now imagine they're talking about penises, and listen to the rest of the video.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
That's super awesome. I don't know how you guys do it.
It's pretty flawless. It's seamless.
Wow.
It's seamless.
How does it do that?
Whoa. That's pretty good. That, I'm impressed.
That's pretty damn intuitive.
That's really cool. I would use that a lot.
I bet you would.
See, I saw this video.
No, there's one more bit.
Oh, okay.
That's really cool.
That's fantastic.
Do I have to give this back?
There you go.
I
Yeah.
saw this video last night, and I'm thinking to myself, this is a really good ad. I'm intrigued. This is a smart teaser video, and I come in here, and within 3 seconds, you've transformed it for me.
Within 3 seconds. That's
Into-
how it looked.
into-
That's how long it
Just to
took.
be clear, I looked at it and I was like, "This is a giant dick joke." That's all I got.
It's the funniest thing I've seen in a long
Yeah,
time.
it's amazing. Do I have to give this back? I would use this all the time.
So intuitive.
It moved with me.
The speculation is, of course, that it's a phone.
It's 100% a phone.
Yeah.
And
Wait, you don't know that. We
I'll
can
put
guess
a-
that.
Two
Norm's
dozen
putting eggs on it. 2
Not-
dozen eggs.
2 dozen hard-boiled eggs. If it's
Norm
not a phone,
hates-
then the 2 dozen eggs will over time be amortized. But the payment, the punishment.
I think it is probably a phone, but no one knows that. That's all I'm saying.
Amazon knows it.
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
I mean, yes, it's unconfirmed that
So,
it's a phone.
and it's not one of these holographic projectors that we've been reading about, probably. It's just a screen.
It's a screen
is
that has
Probably 3D.
but it's in the 3D, as we've talked about. I think we talked about this when you and I podcasted, Jeremy. Is that it's not like the Nintendo 3DS where it's a lenticular screen and you're getting glasses-free 3D. I mean, they want to communicate that you're not wearing glasses in this ad,
Yep.
obviously, but it is parallax eye tracking. So you have, I think the rumor was in the leaked BGR report, Boy Genius report, like 7 cameras on the front face of this
Jesus.
phone that track your eyes, and so as you move your head around, which you can see in the video, these people are
They're
moving their head
doing this.
around. They're
Like rocking from side to side,
Yes.
as if they were trying to look into a lenticular screen.
as you move your head around, the UI moves along with you, so it's like the parallax effect you would get when you tilt an iPhone.
When Apple rolled that out in iOS 7, didn't it make a lot of people really nauseous?
Oh.
It didn't.
They had to roll.
Well,
they had to roll
that's
it back.
different, though. That was moving the device around, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is moving your
it's
head.
the
This
same,
is-
same concept, though.
It's
No-
like you're looking into the device.
You
That's
think?
what
No,
I
no,
think
no.
that's what they're trying to
No,
go
no,
for.
in this, yeah, you're right. It's not exactly the same implementation, but the illusion is the same concept. The Apple parallax that you get,
Yeah.
and what we're talking about is with iOS 7, when you tilt an iPad or an iPhone, the icon layer and the background layer shift independently of each other to give the illusion of some depth.
Now, you're saying you've seen this technology?
I've not seen this phone,
No, obviously.
We've seen parallax before.
but we've seen parallax eye tracking. It's like if you they did it with 3DS. So Johnny Chung Lee, the guy who went, the Carnegie Mellon student who did the first real cheap Steadicam, he then went to work for Microsoft at Kinect, and now is at Google, I believe. He did a demo when the Wii first came
I
out.
remember that.
And you can watch a YouTube video of this where
he put the Wiimote on his head,
put
right?
or did some type of it was some
Yeah.
parallax technology where he took advantage of the remote sensor, and as he moved his head around the space in front of the TV, the image on the TV gave the illusion of depth.
Yeah.
Now, the illusion was really effective because we were watching it through a 2D YouTube video, so we couldn't see exactly what he was seeing, but it was from his perspective.
But it's like those you've seen those chalk drawings that are perspective chalk drawings. So when you're walking down the sidewalk and you hit the exact right spot,
Yep.
it looks like it's a dude standing up in front of you. But when you get off axis, then it's like 35 feet long and
Yep.
all stretched out and weird. It's like that, but on a screen.
There was
so
a
it can update
famous
constantly.
Dutch painting, I believe, that did the same thing with parallax.
So anyway, that'll be June 18th. That's a couple weeks from now. It's the week after E3, I think, or the end of that week. It's in Seattle. Should we request an invite? That's what the end of the email says. To
Anyone
do.
can.
It says request an invite here. I like that. It's very egalitarian of
You
Amazon.
can throw your big dick on the table.
You send your Seattle office to go check it out.
yeah, we'll get our
test-
Seattle
test
bureau.
Northwest.
Yeah, tested great Northwest. Kickstarter this week. This is, I think, a really huge deal.
Oh wait, we should talk about this phone. Like,
Really?
Do we care?
We don't know yet.
Do we?
There's no phone.
Do we care about this type of 3D technology, this 3D UI?
We
I don't
haven't
know,
seen
maybe.
it yet. Those people in the video certainly make it look like I want to see it.
They seemed very impressed. They seemed enthusiastic. They seemed enamored of their 3D technology in their lap. Dick jokes.
the reports and rumors say that this is not just Flourish for interfacing with the front ends, but app developers can tap into the cameras and develop games
That
and
is
apps
awesome.
See, it's right there.
based on. We're gonna soundboard this.
I'm totally going to soundboard this.
Based on the camera stuff, and I think that the rumor said it was also gonna be a 720p screen, because
So it'll be a cheap phone.
no, it'll be an expensive phone, but it has to do 720p screen because they're rendering all this 3D. Basically, the entire UI is gonna have a big 3D layer.
Amazon's past history with new devices leads me to believe that no one is going to want to buy the first generation of this thing. That is based on the Kindle Fires, even the original Kindle, which was good but too expensive and didn't really do what it needed to do.
Why does Amazon? I mean, I guess it makes sense that they want to have another device that people can tap into Amazon to buy Kindles, buy books and read books and watch videos. Amazon Prime.
I mean,
the big things that they want to sell right now are Amazon Prime.
well, and it seems like they want to get customers paying recurring money. So whether Prime is clearly part of that. But I mean, if you look at the current cell phone model, there are two models for people that buy cell phones. There's the go to Verizon or AT&T or T-Mobile or Sprint, give them a contract that says I'm going to stick with you for 2 years, have them subsidize your phone to the tune of usually $300 or $400, and then you pay them anywhere from $80 to $150 or $200 a month, depending on how many people you have connected to that account, right? Or alternately, you have the pay-as-you-go plans like the Boost Mobiles and all that stuff. And those guys just say, hey, $50, get a card and recharge your phone. There's no contract, there's no pay-as-you-go, but you do pay up front for the phones. So both of those business models are kind of crappy for different reasons. One is that you're not going to get a high-end phone on the pay-as-you-go guys because they're not going to subsidize because you could just drop it after 2 months. The other is that you're locked in for 2 years and you're overpaying, arguably.
So you think this is a high-end phone with the pay-as-you-go model?
I think if they do something, if they price phone service, if they're doing something that disrupts the current price of phone service, that is interesting.
What about the technology? That's what this thing is
I think
all about.
yeah, I think that
What is there an implementation of this technology that would make you want that phone?
Well, I think the UI Flourish and the wow factor.
That's not it.
For us, no. But for a lot of people, if they could price it low,
You think?
if it's a $200 phone, off contract or something, or $250, whatever.
Just for the UI flourish?
I think
mean,
people love
maybe
that.
maybe you
Love
can
that shit.
preview. You can actually see holographic sort of projections.
gonna say.
of items on
That's you-
Amazon.com.
Well, that's UI. That's UI Flourish.
Okay, so you're browsing the store and you can spin objects or look at objects or something like
Well, the most you're gonna, because the way
that.
that
You're just gonna be able to peek around.
I don't think I care that much about buying stuff.
Yeah.
I just buy it, and if
that's-
I send it back.
America
If it's bad.
loves buying stuff.
No, I know. I'm just saying I don't think I need I feel good about the amount of stuff that I'm buying right now. I don't think 3D is going to make me want to buy more stuff.
So the way that
I don't either.
This because it's not lenticular, your eyes are actually seeing, each of your eyes are seeing the same thing, and so the only 3D effect you could get is not popping out of the screen; it's actually only
I
popping
understand.
into the
Yeah,
screen.
yeah.
And so it wouldn't be a holographic effect where an Amazon item that you're going to buy a book is going to float above the screen. It's as if you're peering. Most you can do is peer inside, as if the phone was
A window
into virtual
yeah.
space,
Yeah.
which opens up possibility of them doing augmented reality stuff with this.
It would be as good as like the Elements app or something like that, or like old QuickTime VRs where you can spin objects around. But it's
Well, this will
it's
actually
sort
have
of
a
done-
3D look.
it's- but it's done as if you are actually looking at it.
Right.
So-
As if the phone is a monocle
Yeah.
for something.
This is all speculation, though.
All
If-
speculation.
it's what we do here. In case
But-
you didn't, if you listened to the show.
The reason they want to do this is clearly so they can track your eyes and know when you're looking at ads and you're looking at products.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
I looked at this for 3 seconds before I decided to
And
buy it.
that information, from a shopping perspective, from a commerce perspective, is incredibly valuable because no one is tracking it to that level of
If they're
accuracy.
also if they're really putting 7 cameras on the front of the phone, then it lets them do all sorts of interesting stuff, like have a 3D modeled head for voice chat and stuff like that. Like they could, assuming they have processing power in the phone, could actually, make your head 3D.
But the reason Amazon wants to do it because eventually it will help them sell you more things.
You could do some interesting video chat, I suppose.
Yeah, think of all the detail on things you could show with 7 cameras.
Mm-hmm.
It's fabulous.
It's not gonna be cool unless each camera has a laser attached to it, and so it does that. Like the lasers converge
Oh, on
Like-
in the point.
to
Yeah.
scan,
Right.
Oh, whoa.
and also it emits a little bit of fog, so you can see the lasers.
The phone of its
So,
fog.
like,
I
and
need
then-
more fog.
Can we talk about something else now? I feel like we've,
and then the
we've
lasers-
exhausted
Yeah,
the
this
speculation
is
on
way
this
too
topic.
long on a speculative topic.
June 18th.
Kickstarter loosened its restrictions this week. This is big news. Previously, Jeremy, you've done this, so you can confirm. My understanding is that when you submit a Kickstarter, a human being in Brooklyn actually goes and looks at what you've put on your page, watches your video, and says, and looks at your reward tiers and says, yes, this is a thing that we would like to have on our service.
Can confirm.
Now what they're doing is turning that over to the automated robots.
Well,
so
yeah.
instead of having human beings oversee this closely, they're just, I assume, gonna assume that people will just mash a report button on stuff that seems, illicit.
They still have some rules. I guess they're following Indiegogo's lead on this one. Indiegogo has always been a lot more relaxed about what you can actually crowd fund and
Well, and they've even allowed like, hey, this is a type of campaign that if we don't reach our goal, we still get the money. That's cool because Kickstarter's always been.
No, they've done that too.
You have to reach the goal or you
That's
don't
right.
get the money.
And that's
yeah.
still the case, I believe.
Yeah, I think that hasn't changed.
But you're right. There's always been a delay between when you upload all your information and when you are allowed to launch. So
And it's been fast, right? It's like a week.
Just if that, yeah, it's just a few days. And honestly, I think that's still an option. You can just choose to launch now.
Okay.
And skip that process. But I would encourage anyone who's doing a Kickstarter not to skip that process because I didn't feel like I was being judged when my Kickstarter was, approved. They asked me to make some changes, but they were really good changes.
Can you tell what they were?
They needed me to tell more of the story of Inception, from scratch on a napkin to fruition to wherever I was then. They wanted me to tell that story. So I added a whole section about that, and I think it made the page and the whole pitch better.
It's in their interest that the Kickstarters that are on their service succeed because otherwise they don't get money.
Do you think that type of feedback is best served through it's better facts and better documentation, or that people who doing Kickstarters really need real-time feedback and hand-holding?
I don't think people read the docs.
So they need the feedback and
I don't
real-time
know.
feedback
I mean,
and hand-holding.
it's-
Maybe it's a premium Kickstarter service.
I
Maybe,
feel like it's a
maybe if you
service.
want, maybe that's something they'll charge for later. If
I
you
don't
want
think so.
Kickstarter experts.
I don't know. I mean, it's in Kickstarter's best interest, like you guys were saying, to make these the best pitches possible because they get 5%.
And it's competitive.
Yeah.
And they're competing with a dozen other crowdsourcing.
Right.
And to a
methods.
degree, and they don't judge you. Like they will let anything through as long as it abides by their rules.
Right.
But it used to be totally curated. I mean, it used to be where you couldn't even do a Kickstarter unless you knew someone at Kickstarter.
Right.
And
that
then-
was really early on.
Yeah,
though.
yeah, but then they sort of opened it up and they loosened the rules. But now it's wide open. Anybody can do a Kickstarter now.
Can they, if they change their mind on this, can they close that door later?
Yeah, why not? I just don't understand why they're doing it though,
What's
because
the scale?
Yeah.
but there's a larger percentage of successful Kickstarters on Kickstarter than Indiegogo,
Right.
and they're not a public company, and they're doing very well.
But they want to be.
They have
eventually.
big
Do they-
investors, I'm sure.
Well, maybe that's part of it.
I mean, and if you think about 5%, there are many more $1 million campaigns, these days, and they'll do analytics and track the level of successes. But even for $1 million campaign, that's $50,000 they're getting and to make it a multi-million-dollar company, you need a ton of those.
Well, I think they're doing all right.
They don't want to raise the cut that they're going to take.
Yeah.
I think that all that data, because people are using Kickstarter for better or worse as platforms to pre-sale and to launch their startups, they will, I think, eventually by making it free now, they will gate that type of service and include in the future data. Like, make people pay to get the most useful information so that they will have successful Kickstarters or make the most money from their Kickstarters.
Yeah, well.
Kickstarter's only taken one round of funding according to Crunchbase for $10 million. So they're not. I would assume that means they are not seeing pressure to do stuff. They're doing things because they're the right thing to do rather than the other way around.
If they took $10 million, and that's a fraction of their company,
they're in.
then
Well,
they
they may
need-
have taken $10 million when the company was much smaller, in which case those people own a substantial portion. But still, they're not in a. And looking at the investors, they're not in a hurry to make money back. They're all people who are in good shape.
they want to make money
I could
eventually,
see
yeah.
that there's just too much now for the Kickstarter staffers to handle. There's just too many people who want to do Kickstarters.
Is there a backlog
So
still?
that's a problem.
Or they can be looking at the rate at which submissions are increasing and see a period
Yeah.
of time 2 years from now where they won't be able to handle it and want to get out ahead of it with, there's no better way to build a tool that will help manage this flow than to actually open it up now and spend the 2 years in between now and the terrible time in the future when they can't keep up with it, than to build the tool while they can keep up with it still.
Do you think that they fear that when taking away this feedback, they'll get an increased number of failures?
I think it's inevitable.
Do you think that hurts them, like statistically? Like people are stop using Kickstarter because they feel like,
No.
more and more of Kickstarters
No, not
are failing?
necessarily. It's just that it's just that Kickstarter now, I think, is slightly less reliable. I mean, it's inherently that the things that you see are going to be slightly less tailored. I don't want to say curated, but less fostered by the Kickstarter staff, and that's just how it's going to be.
The thing I find is that Kickstarter is the only one of those crowdfunding sites that I actually go to the homepage and kind of browse.
Exactly.
Because there's usually interesting stuff there. I rarely fund stuff that I haven't been recommended or referred to or something from someone else. But I do go look, and I do sometimes. Like I found games and stuff that I've backed that turned out really, like that's how I found out about FTL. Was going to the Kickstarter homepage one day. I was like, wow, this game looks awesome. I should totally back this. So, I mean, it's a weird situation though.
Yeah. I mean, no doubt. If I was doing a Kickstarter now, I would probably just hit that launch now button because
Why not? You can
I
fix
want
it
to
in post.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't really plan to have that period when you're setting up your Kickstarter, so it's just this sort of weird down period. So
And you're the most prepared person.
What stuff can change and what stuff can't change once you push it live?
as long as you've gotten a pledge at a certain tier, you can't change that tier.
Okay.
But up until then, you can change the tiers.
Can you change your video and stuff like that?
Yeah, you can change the video.
Okay.
I believe so. I believe
Just
so.
not after the funding period is stopped.
Once the funding period's ended, you can't change your main page at all.
Oh, it's static.
In order to get a link to my site at the top, I had to ask for special permission, and they did it for me.
Oh, wow.
It's off limits. You can only add updates.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that as long as they still have more successes in the future than they had as long as the number of successes goes up, I don't think they care as much about the percentage. I think the percentage is a kind of perceived status thing, but I think most people who use Kickstarter as people who back things don't give a shit about the overall percentage of successes versus failures on the service.
I think people just want to buy stuff.
I think people want to buy stuff that wouldn't exist.
And to be honest, there is already just a ton of really poorly produced videos on Kickstarter, and with poorly thought out stories. And I don't know how they got up there, frankly, but it's already happening. So I guess it's just a matter of time when they were going to run into too many submissions and they couldn't keep up with them.
Well, there we go. Leaked Star Wars photos from the set. Somebody tweeted or posted on Instagram or something a picture of what looked like a partial skeleton of a Millennium Falcon. Does that seem right? It was like the cockpit and the undercarriage and part of the front. It wasn't the whole thing, though.
That was among many other leaks.
Well, yeah. There
I
were
chose
pictures-
not to look at the photos.
You know what? I think that's the right choice.
This is a hard week for people who are trying not to see Star Wars spoilers.
Yeah.
But
Especially if you're on social media.
The J.J. Abrams response to the leaked pictures was great, though.
yeah,
Because it's like a handwritten note on J.J. Abrams, like his card.
Stationary.
Just says it's not even stationary. It's like a card. It's like a
Stationary.
card stock size. Okay. It says J.J. Abrams and it says something about like I'm really disappointed in all the leaked pictures from the sets, and it's on the fucking
No, but he says
the grammar is
he says implying that there's the preposterous thing that the Millennium Falcon might be in episode 7.
says,
right.
Please stop posting episode 7 set photos, period, and photos of
making
and
ridiculous claims that Millennium Falcon is in the movie.
Right.
Yeah,
Is in
and
the
it's
movie.
on the hollow chessboard.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
The Holo chessboard has an official name, I learned after this news.
Really?
Yeah. Did you guys? I thought for sure you guys would be referring to it as that because you are so full of esoteric.
There wasn't a Kenner action set for the hollow chessboard, so I don't know the names.
I'll look it up.
It's Jajaric.
Yeah. There you go. That was
Yeah.
it.
Wow. It's a Jedi game. This is all.
Well, if it's a Jedi game, what's it doing on
Wait.
Han Solo's ship?
Who established that name? Was it extended universe canon?
It has to be extended universe.
Then
so
no
this
longer
is untrue.
then no longer relevant.
Back to hollow chess.
It's just hollow chess.
Yeah.
It is Star Wars hollow chess.
But would you buy a Star Wars hollow chess game if you could buy one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No.
That's the first thing I'm going to play on Amazon's phone.
No. What?
It's terrible.
It did.
FCC forums accidentally were DDoS'd. I think you put this on the list, Jeremy.
Yeah. Did you read about that?
No.
So the FCC.
Yeah, the Federal Communications Commission.
They've
Saviors of net neutrality.
well, not exactly. Quite the opposite. They've
right.
come out, against net neutrality, and they've said, but we're open to discussion, and we've set up this discussion board, and anybody's welcome to come and comment.
Okay.
So Reddit and John Oliver got behind this idea that the internet should go and post comments, and they posted tens of thousands and basically shut the site down. I thought that was interesting.
Have you watched John Oliver's new show on HBO?
Just 2 clips that have been linked online.
It's
but
quite good.
It looks good. He seems like he does long bits.
It's very because there's no commercial breaks. It's a solid half hour with interstitial like pre-roll like pre-produced videos that they do to try to break
like
it up.
field reports from Daily Show, kind of. I mean, not really.
No, like this week they do supercuts as their interstitial 30-second bits to break up its monologue nonstop.
What network is it on?
HBO.
Oh, that explains it.
They're figuring it out.
Yeah. Xbone controller support for PC announced this morning by Major Nelson. They're going to roll a Windows update that includes the ability to just plug in the Xbox controller in the not too distant future. But if you can't wait to plug in your Xbone controller, you can just do it today.
It's still the best controller.
You have to download the driver from Major Nelson's blog. I don't think the Xbone controller is the best controller, actually. After using them both fairly extensively, I find myself using the PS4 controller on the PC.
Well, you couldn't use.
I couldn't use the Xbone controller on the PC, but I like the. I almost wonder, this new Xbone controller feels a little bit like the Duke. It's a little bit big after holding the PS4 controller.
What's wrong with the 360 controller? That still works fine.
Nothing is wrong with
D-pad.
the 360 controller.
The D-pad on the 360 controller still blows after all these years.
You use the D-pad?
Playing Spelunky and Transistor, I use the D-pad. Yeah. It's the first time I've used the D-pad in probably 10 years, for what it's worth. Transistor, I was really shocked at this, but Transistor, the Supergiant game, which was a PS4 indie game release and released on PC simultaneously, actually natively supports the PS4 controller. So if you plug the PS4 controller into your PC, fire up Transistor, just works.
Are the indicators on screen the symbols?
Yep.
No kidding.
And if you plug in an Xbox controller, it's the Xbox symbols. So they have APIs. Somebody has written APIs for both the PlayStation controller and the Xbox. I mean, obviously the Xbox 360 controller APIs have been there for a long time. But
So is it just it's wired though for the Xbone?
for the Xbone, it's wired for now. No word on wireless adapters or whatnot. My assumption is if that's going to happen, we'll hear about it at E3. But I think that uses Wi-Fi Direct or some sort of weird next generation wireless
you would
protocol.
need to buy a dongle.
So you'll need a dongle of some kind, or you'll need a computer that supports that. And I doubt anything supports it right now. Very few computers support it right now. The PS4 controller, if you want to plug in, you can do wired or you can hook it up to Bluetooth. Either one. It's a little tricky to pair with Bluetooth. Xbox One June update, which is
Also,
out.
Connect for Windows.
Oh, right.
New Connect version 2 sensor.
When did that happen? Did that come? Did they announce that finally?
Next Web has a story about that.
$200.
$200 will ship in July with a beta SDK.
Is it this? Can I take my Connect from my Xbone that I never use and plug that into my PC?
Do not know.
I think they announced that they released the SDK in preview form a few months ago. So that's good news.
So this is significantly higher resolution than the last one.
It's different. It's a completely different technology too.
Oh,
So the last one used those IR dots and
Yeah.
made a grid and all that. This one, it works a little bit differently. It's like
No IR dots.
no IR dots.
It's not freaky.
It seems to work a lot better. Even in like difficult rooms. Like
Yeah.
my living room works much better than the first Kinect ever did. When I walk in from the backyard with the dog at night, then it'll say "Hi, Will" because it sees me like in the. It has a much wider field of vision, both width and height. But I still like. I've yet to play any games that used it.
you walk in the room and you don't stop, and it says "Hi, Will."
Yeah, just like the act of coming in the door and turning, and it gets just a little profile of my face is usually enough to trigger it
Wow.
When it's on.
when it's on. Yeah,
why-
but Gina has a. We have the TV plugged through it
Right.
still, so it's if Gina's watching TV, it's on.
You're getting a lot of if you're plugging your Xbox, your TV, and your cable box through your Xbox, you're getting a ton of new features. All that stuff was announced this week.
All that stuff.
All the non-game stuff.
Well, it's announced, but it's not. It's there's no date on any of that stuff. They announced 4 dozen apps internationally for the Xbox One and Xbox 360, but there's no dates. It's all by like end of this year.
So what do they announce?
I can pull up the complete list.
Wait, what in terms of functionality did they announce? Is it just-
You mean the June update? What the June update is for the Xbox One is the addition of let's see, it works with the no Connect bundle so that developers, if they so choose, can run games without saving the Connect reserved CPU GPU capability. So remember when they announced Xbox One and they told developers that like 10% of the overall capacity of the machine was being used by Connect's both limb processing and voice processing? Now, if developers want to not have that functionality available, they can not have that functionality available and get a little more processing power on the GPU, it seems like. The Xbox One app list.
HBO Go,
HBO Go finally, Showtime,
Comedy Central.
Comedy Central was there. I didn't see that one. A bunch of stuff in Spain, it seems like. This is the existing app list, which is a little thin. Do you have the list in front of you, Norm?
Yes, Encore, Epix, Fox Play,
Can you get Crackle?
GoPro.
Crunchyroll?
Crunchyroll's there.
Crunchyroll's anime, right?
I'm not sure. MLG.
That's good.
It's very important.
Baseball?
Yep.
Baseball, football, hockey, basketball? I don't think basketball has an app, does it?
NBA,
Okay.
NHL,
WWE?
I believe WWE is already on there.
I don't think so.
I don't watch WWE.
Well, neither do I, but it's a big, long list of apps. They're all promised at some point in the future. It begs the question, why is the stuff that was already like, if I bought a new phone, whether it was from Apple or Google or Microsoft or anyone, and the apps that were on the existing platform were no longer available on the new platform, I would ask, why am I upgrading? Why is this? Why are the apps is Xfinity on here? Is the on-demand app on there?
I think Xfinity has been on.
No,
Xbox.
not on Xbox One. It's been on Xbox 360.
Nope. It's not.
Yeah, like why is there a regression of functionality for the new console? That seems like a real deal breaker on should we release this thing? Why/N? And I know there's content deals and all that, but
Because holiday season.
I'm a normal human being and I just want to use my shit. I unplugged my Xbox 360 and now I have no way to watch HBO. That makes me really sad. So yeah, in the year after it's launched, it will come out at some point. HBO and Showtime and ESPN and all that stuff that was out before.
This Twitter integration looks like the worst thing ever.
I can't. It's just a bar that pops up underneath the letterbox on the TV, so that you have the ability to watch hashtags and your Twitter feed while you're, watching
Future.
TV.
So is you know how when you watch TV shows, the network will do that automatically. They will
Hashtag
have
immunity
overlays
challenge
on the bottom corner. Now it gets to take up a third of your screen.
Trending.
Real time hashtag. Tell you how excited.
Hashtag oh no he didn't.
How excited 24 is or Fox is about the new episode of 24.
Hashtag Jack Bauer Power Hour.
Who else can? No, it's 24 LAD.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's a grim future painted by this.
Can you tweet with your voice?
Oh, I'm sure you can. I tried. So it's funny. I can tell when Gary's daughter goes to bed every night because he pops up on the Xbox because somebody turns on the TV in the house. And I always think.
That's creepy.
Well, right. I mean, Gina and I were sitting there talking about it last night. We're like, why does Gary always get on? Oh, right, bedtime, because their daughter must go to bed a little later than ours. So I tried to send him a message. I was like, oh, glad your daughter went to sleep. And I didn't have the controller in front of me. I didn't have the remote, so I was going to do it with my voice. And I got about 2 steps in before I was just like, nope, this isn't. No, it makes Siri look great. The Xbox One
God.
voice interface.
Yikes.
But there's that information that they can extrapolate, knowing if they know you have a child, and you know your child is 0 to 3 years old, and when you turn your Xbox on at night, they can make a reasonable guess that
you're ready to party.
Your child went to bed, and let's show you the 21 and plus ads.
Oh yeah, get cocktailed. Time to get crunked.
It's obviously an enormously difficult engineering challenge.
Of course.
Speech recognition.
No doubt.
We've been working on this one for 2 decades or something like that.
Yep.
And it hasn't gotten any better.
No.
In terms of being like something usable, it's still as laughable as it's always been.
You don't use Google Now very much, do you?
No, Google Now's good. Google Now's good.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't get everything.
But Google Now gets enough that I would actually use it.
Really?
Yeah. Because I can open Google and say, okay, Google, search for some super esoteric term. And as long as I give it enough stuff that it gets the right context, it works.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I use it to search stuff kind of a lot. Like if I have my hands full and I need to look something up, then I use that. And it's great. Siri is laughable. Like I sent a text to Gina yesterday. I'm going to read this one. It was so good, I saved it. I sent it in the car and I said, hold on.
Can I use Google to send a text message on an iPhone with voice with OK Google?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to go Android for that.
Maybe in the future.
No, I don't think so. Bing is the new. Well, we'll talk about Bing in a little bit. Hey, Zero, my way home now. All caps.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I mean it's really bad.
Patton Oswalt has had a bit about this with text, with the prediction.
Yeah. Finally got to the car. Fucking basketball. B. I don't even know what that was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I wasn't talking about basketball, but at least you got the fucking right.
You're right. Most of my experience is with Siri, which is why I don't understand
Siri is awful.
When this is going to become something I can actually use.
I'm telling you, when you go to Google and type in to search something.
Yeah.
Just occasionally do the voice thing. It works really well.
I've noticed that it works well.
And not only does it work well, because they are aggregating searches. I mean, for searches it works well because that's where they have the most data that they're processing, and they can attribute level of success. So what Google does is, if for example a ton of people in my area search pizza and a name of a pizza place, right, and they will affiliate the high rank, that search term in that order with the number of people clicking the first link. So they want people clicking that number 1 search result, and that means that's the best search
But
term.
they can also tell if you come back to that page 3 seconds later that it's a bad result and move it down.
Oh yeah, yes.
So like you're with direct search, you're benefiting a lot. When you get into stuff that they don't know, like people whose names aren't in your address book or in your Google Plus account or something like that, then it gets more confusing.
So having a normal conversation with your loved ones, that's not something that they have a lot of data on, like typical conventions.
Well, they do now.
Well, the sample size is still 1,
right,
as opposed to 100 million or however many people search on Google. But even when you're searching on Google and using voice, which I do with Google Now a ton, the way you learn to the predictive text, you learn to use certain words first. So if you're searching for a restaurant's phone number, for example, you would search the words are easiest to pronounce first, as opposed to the restaurant name or even the street name.
Right.
So you do type of food, then like you say like dinner, pizza, Brothers Pizza, Taravel, because the street is the hardest for Google to parse.
Right. But once it knows that you're looking for dinner, pizza, and Brothers Pizza, it knows that there's only a finite number of Brothers Pizzas in the country.
And so then
only one of them is near you, and it's on a street named Taraval, so it has that context to get it right.
And so then, as opposed to reversing that order, then it's going to get confused. So you're learning the way you're interacting with these. The point is the way you're interacting with services and is a factor of how those services are programmed and coded.
It's really interesting because it's something. What they're doing is using context to mimic something that the human brain is really good at, right? To cheat around it, basically. And I think it's pretty neat. Let's see. There's other stuff in the Xbox One update for June. The Wii U got an update, guys.
Oh.
Mario Kart U came out, or Mario Kart 8 came out last weekend, and there is now a quick menu option for the gamepad. So when you can get notifications and friend invites and requests to play and stuff, and it lights up the gamepad without turning on the Wii U. And while the Wii U is booting, you can also launch straight into a game. So if it has a list of your most recent apps that you've used, and you can just tap it while the Wii U is still booting. It's pretty neat.
You have a Wii U, Jeremy. That's right.
Yeah, man. You don't have a Wii U?
No. Mario Kart was going to push me over the edge, and then I got bored of it.
That game's pretty polarizing.
Who doesn't like Mario Kart?
I read some reviews that said it's just the same old Mario Kart. When are they going to make a good Mario Kart?
It's a great Mario Kart for being Mario Kart, and the tracks are great, but the combat mode there is no combat.
Battle mode is gone. If you like battle mode, it's not for you.
Yeah.
And that was a huge part of Mario Kart for
battle.
The battle mode they have in this Mario Kart is now repurposing the tracks they have from the competitive racing as opposed to battle maps.
Yeah, it's a real cop out. That the game's great. Gene and I played it every night.
What's your favorite map?
Kidding.
What's your favorite map?
I kind of hate them all equally, which is to me the sign of a good Mario Kart.
No way, they're fantastic.
Oh, I mean, I'm just saying the maps are the bad guys in Mario Kart. The maps are your enemies because they're all tricky in some way, shape, or form. Right? I like Mario Circuit. I like the one with the castle, the Royal Raceway, or whatever that is.
The Bowser's Castle?
No, not Bowser's Castle. The one with the Princess's Castle on the loop, on that outside skid. It's like a flower cup race.
My favorite map is the one with the airplane, the big airplane, in San Francisco, kind of.
Oh, the yeah, it's like the Mario
cars.
Sunshine world. That one's good.
And the big airplane.
I really like the N64 Toad Raceway. Is that what it is? The one with the cars, where the cars, when you're going in normal mode, the cars are going the same direction as you. When you go in mirror mode, the cars are coming at you and you're racing against traffic. That one's great. Game's really good. Android 4.3 is out. Was announced. Is it interesting?
I think it's out. I think it's been pushed to some Nexus devices.
Yeah,
that's all the Google terminology I know.
All in one sentence. That was very efficient. You can manually download and force update. Not big updates.
I mean, it seems like the big updates come through the Play Store now rather than at the OS level for
more
Android.
Security and stuff like that.
Okay. So we've reached the end of the non-Apple news. At this point, if you don't want to hear Apple stuff, just go listen to something else. There's Still Untitled is a great podcast you could listen to. Alton Brown's new show is pretty good. Go listen to another podcast. Idle Thumbs, Giant Bomb, whatever it is you like. 99% Invisible. These are all our favorite podcasts. We're going to talk about Apple stuff now. It's time.
Did we get a musical transition?
Would you like a musical transition?
It seems like a big deal.
Okay. Get ready.
I like the musical transition, and musical transitions for a lot of shows were not. It's how they fake the idea of it being a live show. Like, for example, NPR's All Things Considered, it's never recorded live.
Yep.
It's all segments. It's all blocked out, and then pre-recorded, but they use transitions to lead from one segment to the other. So every time I hear a musical transition, I expect like a what's his name from NPR?
Kai Ryssdal.
No, I hate Kai Ryssdal.
You don't like Kai
I
Ryssdal?
hate Kai Ryssdal so much.
What about Terry Gross?
I think Terry Gross is all right.
Fresher.
Wow.
You need to go to podcastfantastic.com.
What is podcastfantastic.com?
All the old musical transitions I did for you guys.
Oh, I didn't want to use those because I felt like they were your thing.
They're open, man. I give them away.
Oh, they're open?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll grab some Jeremy Williams classic beats.
Just watch it. The site not be up. Oh, it's still up.
Nice job. Do you know what else is still up? Space Jam site.
Oh, that's true. That's
Yep.
true.
Still lives.
That is like old school.
20 years old at this point. 18 years old. Norm and I, when we went to Warner Brothers, saw the soundstage where they shot the live action parts of Space Jam.
I never saw Space Jam.
Oh, Space Jam's pretty good.
All right.
You've never seen Space Jam?
No, and I'm not alone there. There's a lot of people who have never
Well,
seen Space
you know
Jam.
what's
I'm
good
sure.
for you? They're rebooting it
Really?
with LeBron.
Oh, gross.
And what cartoon character?
It's gonna be Looney Tunes.
Bugs
Like,
Bunny, Marvin the
They,
Martian.
they didn't go away.
Sylvester.
They're not going to get too old.
I figure it might be more current, you know? I don't know who that would be. Like
Yeah, who are the new cartoon characters?
Dora the Explorer.
Is Michael Jordan going to be in it? You
I-
got to have
I-
Michael Jordan.
I'm sure there
He
will be
really
some
hammed it up
cameo.
at a high level in that movie.
Space
It's
Jam was
great.
it was back when sports were fun, and
It's all wholesome before steroids.
the celebrities were all likable.
Yeah. It was before everybody had a lot of tattoos.
Space Jam has both Wayne Knight and Bill Murray.
Oh,
does.
I didn't know Bill Murray was in it.
It is a
And it was a perfect time because it mirrored real life when Michael Jordan left basketball
No.
to play baseball.
I saw Michael Jordan play baseball once.
You saw Michael Jordan play baseball,
I
minor
saw,
league?
I saw him play minor league baseball because he was
Wow.
in. I think he played for Huntsville, and it was when I lived in Nashville, so they were on the same circuit. And I went
Huntsville- Really? I thought he played for Chicago.
Birmingham. No, he played for the White Sox club team. He didn't play in the big leagues. He
Oh, right,
played in the
but
minors.
for their minor, and their minor leagues played in
It was
Tennessee.
Birmingham or Huntsville or something like that. So they one of their stops was Nashville, and we went to see him. It was amazing. He stole 2 bases. He is really tall compared to baseball players. Yeah.
So he was a draw. I mean, he drew people
The
to play.
fucking place was packed.
That's interesting.
It was also 25-cent beer night, so you know.
No, that helps.
Tomato.
Think about that. A star that would never happen.
Yeah, is LeBron James going to quit basketball to go play baseball in the minors?
Bo Jackson was one of a kind. That the era of the multi-talented
Deion
sports
Sanders.
star. But again, of that era of that's 10 years ago. That's 15
That's
years
20
ago.
years ago now, probably. Okay, WWDC.
Worldwide Developers Conference.
Yes. Did you go, Jeremy?
It's too expensive, man.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to that.
It's hard to get tickets to. They did a lottery this year, which seemed
That's
pretty
true.
fair, egalitarian for Apple.
Yes.
A lot of big time app developers did not get in. The dude who makes Tweetbot, no lottery ticket. The keynote, they did a lot of real dumb jokes. I'm going to go ahead and just say there was a lot of programmer humor in that keynote.
Yep.
There was a weed joke, a weed California joke when they were talking about what they named the next version of OS 10. It was a cavalcade of super nerdy programmer jokes.
Well, it is the developers conference, but I agree with you. Not just the jokes; it felt very developer focused, more so than
Most-
I
yeah.
anticipated.
Mo-
Because
more than most Apple keynotes.
yes, I expect obviously the rest of the week to be highly developer focused, but the keynote is usually accessible to your average consumer.
Especially when they stream it. You know, the keynote,
Right.
the WWDC keynote is where they traditionally roll out OS updates. It is a place for normal people to see what the future of their phone is like.
Yeah.
And then it's also the event is a place for developers to learn what all the new stuff is and how to take advantage of it, as well as they also do things like if you have an app and you want to get an Apple person to talk to you about what is good and what is bad and what design stuff they like, what design stuff they don't like, you can do they do workshops and stuff there that you can do that in. So it's like if you are making apps and making money on it, it is not a particularly expensive. It is probably a worthwhile thing to go to if you can get in.
Yes.
If you are just a shade tree programmer who likes to noodle around or see iOS 8 early, then it is probably not for you. They talked about all the normal number stuff. We're not going to go into that. They sold a lot of phones, a lot of iOS devices. It seems like they're making inroads into China, from what Tim Cook said at the beginning. A lot of the iOS changes seem to me to be tailored to appeal to the kind of
Asian market, where Android is very successful.
Right. We'll talk about the iOS stuff in a sec. Like overall, I would say that it seems like this seemed to be a much more cohesive. The iOS 8 and OS 10 Yosemite seem to be a more cohesive platform for phone, tablet, computer interaction than anything they've shown to date. Like if you look at the last 2 or 3 OS 10 and iOS releases, OS 10 and they kept making OS 10 look more like iOS. They added Launch Center and the maps and messages and iBooks and all the stuff that kind of is. So it's kind of feature parity, and it looked like they might be moving them to converge, which would have been disastrous for anybody who uses OS 10. I think. I mean, I don't think anybody wants.
You mean if they ported iOS to the
if they
desktop?
essentially make iOS the desktop app, the desktop OS. But this seemed to be a complete shift from that convergence path that they were on, starting with, I want to say Mountain Lion, or maybe Lion even, when the App Store came in.
Well, I don't know. It seems like they've still imported yet some more iOS aesthetics into the OS 10.
Aesthetically, yeah. I mean, this is OS 10 seems like it's getting the design refresh that iOS got last year. It's going to go further on iOS, as was the case before. However, unlike, let's say, the Mountain Lion and Lion updates, where it seemed like they were shoehorning features that I don't really need. Like, I don't need Launchpad on a like, that is a bad use of. It is not how I want to launch apps.
Right.
It is not how most people who are using desktop PCs as power users are going to want to launch apps. It's inefficient, and it just seemed to kind of mimic iOS for no reason other than, well, this stuff should look the same, right?
It Launchpad feels like there will be touch on OS 10 eventually. That's what that feels like to me.
Yeah, but that was 3 years ago now.
Yeah,
Still no touch.
Oddly, it's I agree with you.
So they had a big focus on cross-platform communication between iPad, iPhone, and Mac, which is relatively new.
Yeah.
Like AirDrop, obviously, finally, thank God, is going to work between devices.
So if I have a picture I've taken on my phone,
Yeah.
I can swing it off to my desktop,
And it'll just pop up.
and it just pops there.
Yeah. That seems, and that's important because it'll work in places where you don't necessarily have internet connection. Right now you could save it to Dropbox or iCloud or whatever. It'll pop up in both places. Your photo stream will populate it across eventually.
Yeah.
But the ability to just do it instantly when you're sitting in the airport and your laptop's not on Wi-Fi necessarily seems important to me. Also, your laptop and your non-internet connected iOS devices, like say a tablet that doesn't have a cellular modem, will be able to automatically use your iPhone's internet connection if you have it set up that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like this.
That's still going to require that you have hotspot service from your cell provider.
Yeah.
Right?
So and the thing is, at this point, everybody. I don't know about AT&T. Everybody on Verizon who has an LTE plan has that because it was part of the FCC deal.
Yeah. The newer plans on AT&T have that, but the older grandfathered in unlimited plans do not.
Right. So yeah, if you're still on your what is now probably a 3-year-old data plan.
Unlimited data plan.
Yeah, you're boned. Although, my father's on an unlimited data plan and he can do FaceTime now, so I don't know.
FaceTime over cellular.
FaceTime over cellular.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, I didn't know that.
But you can't create a hotspot.
Can't create a hotspot. Oh, okay, so never mind. You guys are fucked. I mean, that might be actually.
Unless I'm wondering if this is some sort of new workaround and Apple just never told the cell providers.
It's possible.
Yeah, I mean that's what they did with iMessage.
Right. Yeah. Oh, hey, by the way, guys.
No more texting.
We're doing SMS.
Yeah.
It seemed like there was a shift from cosmetic improvements that didn't really add it functionality, and it seems like they're looking at each platform as a place to showcase strengths and hide weaknesses, so that obviously there are benefits to using a device with a keyboard and trackpad. There are benefits to using a device that fits in your pocket. There are benefits to using a device that has massive battery life and can sit in your bag and carry with you everywhere.
There are necessities to using a device when you're not around the other.
Yeah, of course. You want to be able to do everything, but you don't want to weaken the strengths on the platforms that are good. Anyway, you can pass. They have this thing called handoff, where you can pass the status of one device to another device. So, for example, if you're browsing something in Safari on your tablet or on your laptop, and you want to pick up your phone and go sit in the toilet, and you can do that. Mm-hmm. Maybe in the living room would be the better example there.
Super new.
Or if I'm typing something out at like an email or something, and I come home and I want to finish it on the keyboard, I can do that.
Yeah.
You
It's kind of what Google already does with Google's ecosystem with Gmail and Maps and Chrome.
Is that true?
You can do Chrome to phone and stuff like that. It seemed a little bit less. It seemed like it's one step removed. Like you've always been able to save something to your drafts folder in your email client.
Well, you don't even need to save. If you stop typing, it's there.
Well, it depends on the client.
Right, but you go to your drafts and it's in there.
So, but that still means you have to open the phone, open the mail client, navigate to the drafts folder. This just gives you a thing on the screen that you slide up. You can do that with Chrome to mobile on a lot of stuff by swiping the notification, but in my experience, that was a little bit hinky.
But that's going to require you using their email client.
There's APIs, so it's going to require using the same email client on desktop and mobile.
Oh,
I don't know
didn't-
about that.
Are you sure about that?
There's APIs for handoff.
So can you hand off Chrome? You think you'll be able
if
to?
Google chooses to support it,
No kidding.
I would assume so.
That's interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, so the other thing on the Chrome front, we'll talk about this in iOS later, but
Do you not use like Chrome Sync?
But Chrome Sync, you still have to go in and find it. You have to open the history tab and open up that computer on another device.
No, my main concern
and
is,
then tap
is
in.
Mailbox, because I use Mailbox for my mail app. And
Right.
so if they open this up to third parties, that's wonderful. I thought maybe it was just first party stuff.
No,
I
my
thought it was
understanding was
first
that there were APIs for
Cool.
handoff.
Cool.
I'll check when we start talking about
So
other
Mailbox
stuff.
potentially in the future will be able to have a button
You'll have to have a desktop app.
where
Yeah.
the Mailbox desktop app will have a button where you can say, resume type.
The
email.
So
way-
it'll be in the system.
So yeah,
Like, I think there's a system, grayed out icon that appears if you are near it on another device that is under the same
That's
account.
it.
But what I'm curious about, and this is maybe looking for problems that we don't know about yet, but I wonder if you have a bunch of iOS devices around you and they're all in the same account, and maybe your kids are using one, your wife's using another one. How do I know which one I want to transfer?
I think
If I go to the PC.
Well, so I don't know about you, but my wife and I use shared iOS accounts for purchases and separate iOS accounts for iMessage and FaceTime and all that stuff. Like our iCloud is logged into a different thing than the iTunes Store apps are.
Are you saying a shared? But that makes more sense because most people have their individual mobile devices, laptops, and
Right.
phones. But a lot of people share desktops.
Yeah.
And don't sign off accounts.
Yeah.
Which, even though you can, I mean, there are accounts on desktop, but
So there might be some issues here.
I mean,
What I'm curious about is maybe, and this opens up to other problems, but it might be more convenient for me in my existence if I could do what Iron Man does, which was sling it to the device rather
Yes.
than pull it to the device.
that requires a whole level of like
Trust.
and
Because
quote unquote like behind the scenes magic where with
well, whatever.
that's a Rev 2 feature.
Apple's good at that. So I'm wondering if I should be at my phone and I could select desktop and like send it to the desktop. Suddenly it appears on the desktop.
that,
Well,
you,
so-
can, you can do that on Android.
Oh yeah.
You can.
No.
So the thing
It doesn't have the swipe gesture. You're
don't
saying
aim
push,
it.
You just go push desktop and then it pops up on your desktop.
The thing about this that seemed neat from at least messing around with the beta and the limited way that it works there is that it's passive. So when you pick up a device after you close the laptop, then that Safari logo is there. You can choose to use it, or you can go on and do something else if you want. It doesn't open up, it doesn't unlock the device or anything. You still have to do that.
Yeah.
The best example I can think of for in Google's ecosystem, for which some of this integration works, you don't even have to enable it, which can be for better or worse. It's just there. If you're searching on your desktop in Chrome and you're searching an address for Google Maps, which you do, I just go maps.google or type an address in Google and I find directions. So I make a mental note of directions. And in my car, if I open the Google Maps app and touch the search bar, it will be the first result, the last thing I searched.
Well, and
and
if you put
have
Chrome
the directions up.
if you put Chrome to mobile on, you can even push those directions in a notification. Like there's an extension for Chrome that lets you send whatever page you're on, whether it's a Maps page or just a normal web page, directly to your phone or tablet. It works through their printer ecosystem.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just to be clear, a lot of the stuff that they're adding to iOS 8 especially isn't anything that's new in the greater world of Windows Phone and Android. It's just that they're implementing, or even in third-party apps, they're just implementing a first-party built-in way to do it, which over the years we've all learned that the having defaults, the defaults really matter because that's what all most people ever know about and or use.
What do you think about receiving phone calls on your desktop?
I am super interested in part of this. So I don't know about you. So one of the things this will work for phone calls too. So when your phone rings, your Mac and your tablet will both show that call. You can hit the button to accept the call on either of those any of the three devices, and you'll be able to use your Mac as a speakerphone. Presumably, if you have a headset plugged in, that'll work. Same thing for the iPad.
Now, do you need to enable something on your phone for that to happen in terms of voice over IP? Internet calling, or is it if you like
No, it's so the phone acts as a hub, is what they said. I haven't seen the implementation details, and it doesn't work in the beta.
Oh, so it's actually still going through your phone.
Oh, yeah.
It's still going through their phone, and,
And then the phone is piping it to
it's
your
essentially
desktop.
a Bluetooth speaker. Essentially, they're adding a Bluetooth speakerphone
So it's not
profile.
bypassing the carrier at all.
No,
No,
not
no,
at
no.
all. And it's just as that's how it works with text messages too. So now you'll get text messages on your desktop as well.
And that makes sense because it's iMessage, and that is bypassing the carriers.
Well, no.
No.
actual
text
text
messages get routed
'Cause
through your phone.
one of the biggest, one of the problems is if you have somebody who's in your list who's an Android user like you, Norm, then I get text messages on my phone, but I generally don't have my phone with me when I'm in the house. My phone just sits on my nightstand plugged in when I'm at home if I'm not talking to someone. But I have my iPad with me almost all the time. So
Yeah, I guess the weird thing about I wonder if more people will now have headsets on their computer in order to receive calls, because the ugly thing about speakerphone is it sounds horrible.
well, the
Well,
thing.
they're pretty directional. I mean, that's
Speakerphones?
Yeah,
You like speakerphone calls?
I
hate speakerphone calls. Maybe that's just me.
use
Well,
FaceTime on the
depends.
speakerphone on
Like
the laptop.
for where you're at. Like obviously in an office like this, you're not going to want speakerphones anywhere.
What? I can't hear you.
And
Are
when
you
you're
there?
traveling- when you're traveling in a hotel room, I have my laptop set up like in a hotel room. That's the first thing I do is set my laptop up. That being the speakerphone is perfect.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that. And
Also, a lot of people use the earbuds.
the earbuds, like if you plug your earbuds into any modern Mac, then the microphone pops up.
And
And that's what
people-
I'm wondering if
Yeah.
if people will do that.
Oh,
But
yeah,
they already
and-
have the earbuds,
yeah,
right?
if you have the earbuds from your iPhone, and
Oh,
you plug
God.
them in to listen to music.
And no one should use those earbuds.
They,
Okay.
why they put them there? Just to check that the music works.
Make sure it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah. The instant hotspot thing we talked about. I think that you have to click on Wi-Fi. So like you go up to the select the Wi-Fi menu and your phone will just pop up there. I think all this works because one of the things it seems like they've done is given a way for devices to authenticate with an iCloud login offline to like have a cached login is what it seems like. So that your laptop, tablet, and phone can all talk to each other and confirm that they're all legitimate, even if one or all of them don't have it. It's unclear if all of them will work, but at least one or more of them don't have an internet connection that's live, which is something that doesn't work right now. iCloud access on the laptop. So iCloud seems to be a lot more fully fledged as a file storage.
iCloud Drive.
iCloud
It's
Drive.
a new thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be file level access, file system level access on the Mac,
Like Dropbox functionality.
similar to Dropbox or Google Drive. You'll be able to, unlike, I don't know if Google Drive does this yet, but unlike Dropbox, I can't see, if I use an app that stores data in Dropbox, it just puts it in a folder in my Dropbox that shows up. This is giving you OS 10 level access to files from your apps, which is super interesting. If you have, say, like a SketchUp app on your desktop and you don't have it on you have it on your iPad, you'll be able to open those up much more easily without having to go through some third-party intermediary service, or without having to. You'll be able to store them on the laptop,
Which is
I guess
usually
what I'm saying.
Dropbox.
Yeah, it's usually Dropbox for me, or Box.net, or one of the others. They've reduced pricing for iCloud, so now it's much closer to Google Drive's pricing. It's $1 for 20 gigs, $1 a month for 20 gigs, or $4 a month for 200 gigs.
Yeah.
You can put normal files in that space too. I assume that this means all of your backups and your photos are going to store in this bucket as well.
That's which I think is the worst idea. I think that I think backup should have been free.
Or
Still should be, or they
enough
should-
space for one backup per device.
Well, so the policy that they have that they didn't change is the more devices you've added, you still only get the 5 gigabytes for one account. If they want to keep backups in this space, I think they should give you 5 free gigabytes for every device
I
you
think
buy.
that's fair.
Every device, and I encourage people to register their devices because not everyone registers their devices with their account, and you can unregister, and that should take away your backup data.
Yep.
But I think you should get 5 gigs of backup data, which I think is reasonable, maybe not practical for if you have a 64 gig iPad and you have a ton of photos on there, but at least for your settings and some in your apps, some of the app data,
Like you can
5
eat,
gigs per device makes sense.
you can eat 5 gigs in no time.
Oh, easily, especially if you have an
If
iPad
you have
and
an
iPhone.
iPad and a phone, yeah.
The new pricing, I think, is good. Now, what is the interface mechanism to access these files in the new
On
Can,
the,
can,
on
can
the
I just
device?
ask a question?
on the
though?
device or web?
Let me just ask a question about that. So if you have 5 gigs for every device, what is compounding the amount of space that you need as you add devices? Because you don't need to back up the apps.
Sure.
You don't need
But
to. You don't need to
app
back
data.
up.
What about the
It's
data?
not that much. It's not
Well, it
gonna be that
can
much.
be if you use the iWork stuff. Those files are fucking huge. like 200-300 gigs easy for
Yeah,
a
but
keynote
that doesn't get
presentation.
compounded the more devices you own.
Yeah, it
Like,
does.
it's
'cause
just-
it
they're
does.
shared.
They're shared, but they back them up individually on each device.
So, for example,
So
if
if
you
I
have a
have-
video app that does special video stuff and it doesn't save the camera roll, it saves that stuff. Like if you're doing a stop motion app, those photos are saved within the app, and that's per device.
I also
Okay.
think that they save if you have shared photo streams.
Yeah.
I think that comes out of your bucket too.
Well, now they're doing, it's not just photo streams, it's every photo gets shared across devices.
Yeah,
and those
and
photos,
video too.
And those photos go on iDrive, on iCloud Drive.
Are they? And they also said they're not going to reduce quality on the photos now. Did they reduce quality on the iCloud
the
photos now?
local versions are reduced, but the master full res is available
online.
if you need it. Yeah.
Yeah.
iCloud photos have always been some reduction. If you import full 16 megapixel JPEGs, what gets saved to PhotoStream is not the full 16 megapixels.
Right.
It's not super reduced, but there is some compression.
The other interesting thing,
resizing.
about this on the Mac is that the Drive functionality lets non-Mac App Store user apps access iCloud data, which hasn't been possible in the past.
Right. So if you want to use iCloud, you've had to publish into the Mac App Store
Yeah.
and give away that 30% to Apple. But now you can just do it yourself.
Yeah, and having to publish into the App Store means you have to follow their rules, and if you
Right.
do something that is
sandboxing, whatever.
Yeah, so if you want to do like a this is a bad example because I don't know you know iCloud, but if you want to do like a disk tool that tells you how much space you're using for different files, which wouldn't work inside the sandbox, you can't publish that to the App Store. Although I guess there are apps that do that in the App Store, so it's a terrible example. I'm just going to move on.
Connected to this though is this new Cloud Kit, right?
Yes.
Which is this
These APIs, right?
Yeah, which is an API, and I don't understand the details on this too much, but they do offer people who use it, developers who use it, a petabyte of storage.
Well, so that stuff is I think that was a petabyte of transfer, right? That's for fulfillment of cloud services on the app side. So
cloud storage for up to a petabyte of app assets.
So yeah, so if you think about, that means if you want to have a map app, then you can have maps in your app.
What's keeping me from making a Dropbox equivalent and using that petabyte to allow 10,000 of my?
Won't go far with it.
No, but if I limit all of my users to like 10 gigs.
My bet is that the petabyte is not writable. It's not. It's mostly reads, not writes.
Okay.
That stuff seemed to me to be targeting people. Like right now, if you want to do push notifications on iOS, you have to basically set up a server someplace that handles that for you. It seems like they're going to let you do that with their infrastructure if you want, which is, I assume, why they've been building those big data centers over the last year or two. I mean, it seems like they're getting more serious about cloud stuff. They have two-factor authentication and all that kind of stuff now. I mean, there's still security concerns with I'm always worried about security stuff with Apple. Like, I feel like they don't respond quickly or transparently enough to security problems. So how this cloud stuff works out for them remains to be seen. Like, their record on starting with .Mac and going to MobileMe and going to iCloud, not so great. We'll see how this goes. I like that they're letting you sync videos across devices now, because we have narrowly missed tragedy in my house when my wife didn't realize that videos aren't synced across PhotoStream and almost deleted them.
And that's the stuff that takes up the most space.
Right. And it's because they're both stored in the same place and they're both treated the same way in every other way except for the fact that they're not synced. It's good that they're pulling that up.
So for PhotoStream, can you access that with iCloud.com?
I think so.
Well,
They
I don't
didn't
know.
say it specifically.
They're rolling out more photo stuff next year.
Like a new photo app, for sure.
The photo app, right? That's got to be coming.
They said there's going to be a Windows app.
Not being able to access photo, like this service makes, I would not pay for, I still don't want to pay for iCloud because we're paying for Dropbox.
Well, here's the thing though about iCloud. Having this stuff at the file system level lets you do all sorts of neat automator and script stuff if you have a machine that runs. So if you want to not pay for iCloud and want to keep paying for Dropbox, then you can, as long as you have a Mac, to pull the pictures out of the photo stream on iCloud and push them back up to Dropbox for you. Copy them from one folder to another as soon as they hit, basically. So like it opens up a lot of possibilities that didn't exist previously on iCloud. It says you can access from your Mac, computer, phone, iPad, or PC. Everything syncs across your devices. It doesn't say anything about web.
I think. Do you remember the story about how Drew Houston met with Steve Jobs, and Steve Jobs offered to buy Dropbox right away, on the spot, and Drew Houston said no, thank you. It was one of the hardest decisions. I mean, how do you turn down Steve Jobs' offer to buy your company? But Steve Jobs got furious and started telling him that you are not a company.
I'll destroy you.
You are a feature. You are not a product. You are a feature, and I'll destroy you. And now Dropbox is a billion-dollar company with their own conferences, and obviously has bought up other companies and has visions to be an enterprise and consumers product. iCloud is not the Dropbox killer. It's still far away from being a Dropbox killer, and it's just for consumers. It's not even for corporate.
The other thing. Well, the pricing is much better for consumers for iCloud than Dropbox. Just to be clear.
The money,
the pricing for iCloud is much more palatable than it is for Dropbox.
It's probably more limited. With iOS, and the advantage is that it ties in super well
at a low level.
It's almost essential for maximizing your iOS experience. But
I'm going to be the thing I wonder more than anything is if their Windows client is going to be any good at all. And the web interface is a really good question. Who knows if there's going to be a web interface that's worth a shit for 6 months or a year.
The PhotoStream Windows client right now, the service is
useless.
It crashes all the time.
It disconnects for no apparent reason. Yeah, it's bad. The other thing that this adds is the ability to have better app interconnection. Although we'll talk about that more in a minute too. So that's the OS. The kind of platform level stuff. Like I said, it was $1 a month for 20 gigs and $4 a month for 200 gigs. It doesn't go up as high. Like Google Drive, you can get up into greater than terabyte levels pretty quickly, and it's not terribly expensive. So we'll see, if they add higher tiers, if people need higher tiers. They fixed iMessage. This is good. So if you get on one of those big, long, multiple person iMessage chains, you can remove yourself now. You can mute an entire thread if you want. So I don't know if you've had that problem, but it's a nightmare. They've added family sharing for iTunes purchases.
That's kind of a big deal.
I think that's a huge deal.
It makes me rethink what I'm going to do at home, and I didn't expect to.
I was going to say, like right now, it's one of the things we talked about with our daughter, for our daughter, is that when we buy stuff from Amazon, if we buy a book for her, it doesn't matter now because it's all kids' books and she's not going to care, and we mostly buy paper kids' books. But when she starts reading fiction, are we going to give her an old Kindle and let her read books that way? Or are we going to give her paper books?
No.
What's the
paper books?
But then if we give her the Kindle books, is she going to be able to take them when she leaves the house in 20 years? Probably not. Like, are they going to become part of a permanent? Are we building a collection for her? Or are we just adding to the digital cruft of our lives? I haven't really talked about this with Gina. I've thought about it though.
I don't know. We don't read books in my house.
Really?
We play games. And so the problem is I own every iOS device because I want the updates to happen seamlessly.
Yeah.
And so everybody, basically buys stuff on my account. And it would be, I like this idea of Peter or, whoever having their own account that when they go on to the App Store and they want to buy something, the request is sent to me, and they can now have their own account.
Right. So then that means they're building a locker of stuff for them, whether it's music, apps, books,
right? Yeah,
videos, whatever.
Yeah, and they don't get the auto updates for my things. Like if I buy Infinity Blade, it doesn't get pushed onto their screen.
You don't want him to play Infinity Blade? Why not?
Well, no, whatever. It's just an example, but the thing that opens up is now they can use, if they have their own account, now they have iMessage, and they have a web browser with just tailored for them.
But you can still parental control that stuff away when they're
I
your
think
kids'
it's a
age.
good thing.
Yeah,
totally good thing because Peter will FaceTime.
Yeah,
and he will call people and he can text people, and now he can do that through his own account, which is
so it doesn't look like it's coming from you.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it.
Which is an interesting development.
Conceptually, having my child want to FaceTime my parents or that's terrifying. I didn't even consider that. Thanks, Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
So the way this works is as long as you can have up to 6 accounts on one credit card, as long as on a family sharing plan, as long as they're all on one credit card. It's unclear. The one thing that a lot of people ask, because Microsoft had problems with this early on, is that if you had can you set a difference between, can you have multiple adults on one account? So, for example, can you and your wife have your own accounts, but both be on the family plan so that you can share content amongst each other and only have to buy stuff once?
Yeah, but only one credit card.
Only one credit card.
Yeah,
I mean,
they were clear about that.
Yeah. So there's still some details to work out, but it seems like a really good idea.
Yeah.
It is the natural evolution of DRM to digital lockers for content.
It's
I
the
think.
closest we've gotten on iOS to having multiple accounts. You know, at least now.
Yeah.
Because I've always wanted my iPads to be able to sign in, and different people can have different things. At least now, there's some connection between multiple accounts.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you still have to dedicate a device to an account, but at least the various devices can now be connected.
Well, and you could always put some on iMessage, sign in iMessage and FaceTime on one account and sign in purchases on the other. Like literally, that's what I've been doing for years.
That you can have two.
On the same device.
Your iCloud account doesn't pass through every.
It can, but you can also.
Huh.
So the way you do it is you set up an iCloud account with one account, the account you want to use FaceTime and iMessage from, and then you just go into iTunes and log that account out and log in the other account.
Oh, I thought that was system wide.
No.
Oh, that's good.
No,
to
they've
know.
always done that right. Like they've done it because like Gina and I have always shared accounts for that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been dating or married since the dawn of the digital account, and there's no reason. Like since there was no sharing, the only way we could buy stuff and both listen to the same albums and stuff was to buy it from the same place or buy non-DRM MP3 tracks, which is what we actually ended up doing most of the time. Anyway, I think that's good. I'd rather see no DRM, but in the world we live in, that's not possible. So iOS 8 cross-app communication. We talked about. Oh no, this is big. This is the biggest deal of the whole talk. I think.
Extensibility.
Yeah. So on iOS right now, each application lives in its own sandbox, and if you want to move a file from one to another, you have to either do something hacky, like save it to the camera roll, which they don't allow anymore unless it's a picture or video, or save it to a cloud service like Dropbox or iCloud or something like that, and then pull it back down into another app.
Intermediaries.
Use an intermediary. Most of those intermediaries are cloud-based, so they don't work when you're offline.
For better or worse, this is one of the big selling points of iOS in terms of it being secure, the apps being not able to hack into other apps and corrupt other systems.
Right, no viruses on iOS that are transmitted through the App Store. Android,
on the other end is
Yeah.
Android,
Yeah,
and
but-
those apps can all tap into other files and file system access.
but there are better. Android also has they call them extents, right? That allow inter-app communication in particular workflow cases. The same way Windows Phone and Windows 8 include contracts to do the same thing.
So in the middle ground is Windows Phone 8,
Yeah.
which has, as of Phone 7, did contracts.
Yeah.
And how do contracts work?
Contracts. So it's difficult conceptually to explain. I'm probably gonna mess it up because I haven't looked at it in a long time. I believe that they're kind of pushy. So, for example, if you have an app that does photo filters, you can go out and say, you can make that part of the photo filter contract, and then any other app that takes photos and applies filters can pull in your filters from the contract. So it just shows up. It lets you embed functionality from apps in other apps. It's not multitasking, but it gives you a lot of the same functionality that you get with multitasking. And it's much more. It means that you don't have to do the weird intermediaries anymore to use one type of app's functionality inside another app. That's basically it. There's probably they have to be defined at an API level so that there will be a certain number of contracts that whatever they're calling them, cross-app communication APIs that people can subscribe to. I haven't actually dug into the developer docs on this to see how it works, but from everything I've read secondhand, it seems to be analogous to extents and closer to contracts than extents. They gave the photo filter example on stage at WWDC, so it's a big deal. This is something that I think we all wanted in iOS. Let's say, starting with maybe iOS 5 or iOS 6. Like it is the last big piece of core level functionality that they're missing on that platform that has comparables on other platforms. So it's a big deal.
Yeah. It has the potential to really mess up the UI and clutter it, I should say. with
Yeah.
lots of options. So, but they seem like they've done a good job of giving the user quick access control to decluttering, turning off.
At least it'll be in
extensions.
settings.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, we're talking about Bing toolbar in Safari.
Yeah, there'll be extensions in Safari. There'll be extensions in Chrome. You can put extensions in whatever you want, assuming there's APIs for it.
Ask Jeeves toolbar in Safari.
Sweet.
The better interface is something the demo they showed with photos, where if you're in your photo, if you're in your camera roll, you can and you click edit, which they have basic editing functions. I'm sure they'll improve that. You can pull in the editing functionality from other programs and use their interface, as opposed to multitasking, double tapping the home button and loading the photo and saving 3 copies.
Right. Like that stuff is a big deal. It means that it's much more likely that you can have a Lightroom analog that you can actually use without a bunch of hacky stuff on your iPad.
Yeah, and that seems like that's pervasive with this update. You no longer have to double tap over to messages to respond to a message, for instance. You can just swipe down and do it right there, which I understand has been on Android for a while.
Not the messages thing,
Oh.
but the big thing for me is being able to delete email in
The swipe?
notifications.
Oh, yeah.
In
Well,
notifications.
and get back to your email if you're writing one, which has annoyed me to no end.
Yeah, because they just disappear sometimes.
Well, no, if I'm writing an email and I want to go back and reference another email, I can't.
Oh, right.
Because the window overlays.
Yeah.
In iPad, you can now minimize your email
Yeah.
and actually go through. So it's actually like windowing.
So it works
Some type of
like
windowing.
YouTube does.
We're getting Windows.
Basically.
Yeah, which is a wonderful
That YouTube
implementation.
implementation is really neat.
That's and the fact that it works the exact same way on iOS and Android is pretty interesting.
Yeah. They're adding widgets finally after no one cares about widgets anymore.
Now
I think.
how do the widgets work?
Wasn't that a Windows Vista thing? Widget?
But Vista.
This is not the widgets that a lot of people think. When you say widgets, we think of in terms of 2014 terms, live tiles. These are not live tiles.
Well, or the kind of clock, weather, Gmail things that you see on Android phones. Yeah,
right.
those
This
kind
is-
of
this
widgets,
is
home
not-
screen widgets.
That's
is
what
what
you
they
mean,
call
right?
them.
Yeah, when I
Yeah.
think widgets, I think either icons that are active and do more than just the corner notification number, but also using up space on the home screen for real-time data.
Right. So this is in the today. They're embedding these in the today screen. I
So
believe
notifications, the notifications bar,
it's extending the notifications bar, or the
To make
pull
it-
down notifications thing.
to make it look more like Google Now.
Oh, yeah, I
if
guess
there's
so.
a Google Now widget, it's the first thing I'll put in.
I don't think there would be, because that would be the entire Today bar. Today bar is their Google Now, is Apple's Google Now.
Well,
And-
but if there's a button I can press to fire the voice thing on Google Now from the swipe down, I'm in. That's all I want.
That's, I think, too low level change.
Maybe.
I
We'll
mean,
see.
you'll be able to access Siri now just without holding down
Nope.
the home
No
button.
thanks.
But you won't be able to change that double tap to launch Google Now.
Yeah. You could
Without
say,
jailbreaking.
"Hey Siri," when Siri knows that you're in the car, which I assume happens by either being plugged into the car or having a Bluetooth.
I think it just
car
has to be
dongle?
plugged in. That's what I read. It's
Oh,
just-
okay.
You don't have to be in the
You
car.
just have to have data plugged in.
You just have to have
Or power
power
plugged
plugged
in?
in. Yeah.
Because
So-
that's you don't want passive power consumption.
And by the way, Google announced the same thing
Yeah.
with their kit, which is OK Google, but
Yeah.
only when you're plugged in. It's constantly listening. But
That makes sense.
with them, it's even when it's turned off.
Even when the
With
screen's
Google?
off.
Yeah, even when your phone's off.
Oh, so with
What?
Yeah, like
Like power off or sleep,
no,
sleep off?
sleep screen
like
off.
sleep.
With Motorola, yes. But with Google, like I'm okay hitting one button on the sleep button,
Yeah.
and then doing OK Google, and then having the Google
Yeah.
search.
It's totally hands-free from a standby mode.
Siri.
Hey, I'm excited about Hey Siri.
Hey Siri.
Yeah.
Really?
Is
Yeah,
it Hey
absolutely.
Siri?
As long as it works,
Siri.
this is back to that
Such a
speech
big
recognition
as
thing.
OK
long.
Google.
How many
Hey
times?
Siri. Hey Siri.
Hey Siri.
Hey Siri.
Hey,
So Siri. So.
Siri can Shazam now. They have a deal with Shazam, so when you turn on Siri and there's music playing,
I use
she'll-
Shazam all the time.
She'll
so
let you
this
buy
is
the
good.
song from iTunes.
Did you notice that from the keynote perspective, on the Meta presentation level, like it's so funny how they partnered with. They mentioned Google once. With
Yes.
the Google search.
Yeah.
They mentioned Bing multiple times.
Oh, yeah.
With Bing Translate.
lot of
So
Bing
you
love.
know there's deals there. They mentioned Yelp, great Yelp recommendations.
Yeah.
It's really nice. All the partnerships are it's all money exchanging hands.
It's like that time that Hooli and Cisco teamed up.
I wish that they would get over their differences with Google so badly. It is so bad.
Thermonuclear war.
It's bad for the user.
Bing. Bing's the default search on Safari now. Seems like I think that's been a while.
And now they have in private browsing, private search with DuckDuckGo.
Private search is protected from the NSA.
Protected. It's just
It's like for porn
For
searches,
Google.
for finding gifs from your. Oh, okay. No,
so
no Google tracking
bypassing
cookie.
Google.
Got it. The UI, the notification update we talked about, you'll be able to respond and reply to notifications from the notification itself, including getting a text box to type out a response in like an iMessage. There's APIs for that stuff. The task switching menu, they've added your most frequently contacted folks from it. So now that is the third place that you can have a list of people who you like and contact frequently, because there's the favorites tab in the phone, there is the VIP list in your mail client, and there's now this list. So
I actually like that.
having multiples?
Yeah, no, just this that exists in the multitasking menu.
Just be the same fucking people. Just put all the favorites. Put your phone favorites in there.
I just think it's a good spot for it.
Oh, it's a good spot for it.
You
Yeah,
can get it from anywhere.
I think that's fine. They lifted the different distance swiping. That Mailbox, I think, was the first place I probably saw that, and Boxer uses it as well. So that when you're in Mail, if you want to archive a message, you swipe it a little bit. If you want to delete or spam it or whatever, you can swipe it further, and you get more options out of the side. That's a nice UI hook. I've heard from a couple of developers that Apple is down on the hamburger menu these days. You know what the hamburger
What's
menu
the
is?
hamburger menu?
The hamburger menu is that little. It's the thing that most of the time when you see an app and you want to slide out a menu from the side, you tap a little thing that looks like a hamburger. It's like 3 horizontal lines. They call it the hamburger menu.
Really? Developers call that the hamburger?
No, Apple calls it the hamburger menu.
Really?
That's what I've been told by a developer.
You're saying they don't like it?
They are down on that.
But
if you have that in your app, then they ask you what is in there that you
see
need
it
to
right
keep.
now, right in the top right-hand corner.
This is Chrome.
That's Chrome.
Chrome has a hamburger menu.
I think they don't like the hamburger
Isn't
menu.
that-
The notifications.
Yeah, it's how you get
Yeah,
notifications.
notifications looks like a hamburger menu. It's 3 dots.
But they're not even. The lines are jagged.
That's the problem?
No, I think it's that they don't like the functionality. The
Of
thing
menus popping up from the side.
The thing that I was told, and this is again secondhand because I wasn't actually at WWDC. The thing that I was told is that most of the time the functionality in those hamburger menus is not necessary. It's all like 5th tier or second. It's shit you don't use. Like that is become the shorthand for here's where you put shit you don't use, and they don't like that. It's all Apple design guidelines. It's all the stuff they've been doing for 20 years. Third-party apps. This is a huge deal if you like to use Chrome or third-party browsers on your iOS devices. Third-party apps can use the fast JavaScript engine in iOS 8. So that means that when on iOS 7 and previous iOSs, if you run Chrome, which uses the Safari, every device, every piece of software that renders the web on iOS devices has to use Safari. Safari gets to use the fast JavaScript render, which is less secure because they trust themselves. Everybody else uses the slow-ass pre-iOS 5 JavaScript renderer. So when you run the same JavaScript benchmark on iOS Safari and iOS Chrome, Chrome is like 45% slower. It's crazy slow compared to Safari. Now everybody will be able to use the fast one, which is a good thing.
I haven't noticed a real problem with that. My bigger problem is that you can't set it as the system-wide default browser.
That is going to
in-
continue to be a problem for at least another
in email.
generation. Well, if you use Gmail, then it's no problem. Or if you use a third-party email client, lets you say,
Right.
open this in Chrome, no problem.
Yep.
If you use mail.app, then it always opens.
Don't you want that pop-up? This browser is not your default browser.
I
Would
would
you like
love
it
that.
Set as your default browser.
That's great. I would welcome that.
This browser is no longer. IE is no longer your default browser.
Test Flight.
Yes.
This is a big deal for app developers.
Dude, this is going to make developers so happy.
So Test Flight is a kind of kludgy hack workaround. That's great.
It
Just to be
was.
clear, I love it.
Yeah.
As somebody who used to get pre-release apps all the time, it makes it much easier because basically you just say, hey, somebody sends you a link, you click on it, you download a provisioning profile, and then you can use apps that don't come from the App Store. It's still
That's not how it
controlled and
works
secure.
anymore. It's so much more seamless now.
Oh yeah, no, I know. Now you just go to a page and click the thing.
It's
and
an app.
It happens. Oh really?
Yeah, there's a Test Flight app that users will be able to download, and as long as they can
Oh, you mean in iOS 8?
in iOS,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
iOS 8, and
Yeah.
then that's how. So it's all through the App Store now.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's good. The reason it's important is because Apple limits the number of beta keys you can hand out to people, and you have to go through all the process to get your stuff up on the store to do a beta key from the App Store.
but they've expanded that.
Oh, they
So
have.
now it's 1,000
Like
accounts,
test-
and not devices.
Oh, that's good.
1,000 accounts.
Huh.
So if you own, a phone and iPad, that's just one.
That's one. That's good.
And what this does is it lets developers send beta versions of their apps to
Right.
anybody very, very easily.
It'll simplify reviewing, testing, the whole thing.
Yep.
It's really good. Yosemite. So that's all the iOS stuff that I pulled. I mean, they talked about it. There's the normal laundry list of features. I think that's the big stuff. The cross-app communication is a huge deal. It'll probably take a while for us to see the real benefits from that. But my guess is that by the time 9 months have passed, you won't understand how you used an iPhone or iPad without that. The Yosemite stuff, OS X Yosemite, it's out. Both of these are out this fall. They've added a couple of small things like dark mode, which I guess lets you change the color of the taskbar.
I can't find that setting.
It's not in the beta that I saw.
Okay.
I looked. It's not in the dock settings or the appearance settings.
Yeah.
The widgets also are coming to the today. The today screen is coming to notifications, and it will have widgets on the OS X. I actually use notifications occasionally for OS X. It's just nice if I see something and I miss clicking on it in time, and I'm not exactly sure what it was, so I don't know where to go. You can go back and
find it. That's more of
find
a problem of how long those things pop up.
Well, that's a risk reward, right? I don't want to have those things lingering for 5 minutes. I want them to go away automatically.
God, notifications pain. I think I clicked it for the second time in Mavericks.
I use Do Not Disturb every single week when I record the podcast. Widgets in the today screen, mail drop. This is more cloud integration. So if you want to mail a 2 gig video file to your mom, you can, and mail.app is smart enough to just upload it to the internet and then send a link to your mom so she can download it. So you don't send a 200 meg email attachment.
And if you both use Mail app, it's just there.
If you both use Mail app, it's just there. If
magic.
If one person uses Gmail, which is the realistic alternative, or Hotmail or AOL or something, it's a link. This seems fine. Oh, you know what we didn't talk about in messages?
Oh.
They added WhatsApp stuff to messages. So you can do like a quick voice message via iMessage.
You couldn't do that before?
Nope.
Could you send? You could do video.
You can send video.
And not voices.
Not voices.
So now it's kind of like walkie-talkie.
Nope. I wish it was like walkie-talkie. That would be awesome. If I could just hit the volume up button and be like, "Hey Norm, what's going on?" And then it beeps, and then Norm goes, and I go over,
right. Okay.
and then it beeps.
No, but it's more
and then
like
Norm's phone
it's
beeps.
like an active walkie-talkie. It's like you have to accept
You
the
have
message
to have
and
the
then
app
play
open and hit play.
Right,
and all.
right.
It's not.
Okay.
I want Nextel phones.
Yeah.
I think that would be amazing.
So who's going to use this? I mean, I guess
The
it's
iMessage thing?
like right now. I'm thinking I'm going to use it because Siri doesn't understand what I'm saying.
If you're in the car and you're trying to send a text to your wife, you can send a voice message,
which will at least
she'll be able to
understand it.
decode it as well as Siri can. At least
you laugh at this. This is how large. It's why not Snapchat. What was it? WeChat, or what was the company? WhatsApp. Why that's extremely popular. Leaving short voice clips.
I had no idea.
Push to talk voice clips is the new way. I communicate with my parents because they can't type. Or like maybe different languages or whatever, or it's time consuming. It's so much easier, and I don't want to pick up a phone call and have a conversation to leave a 10, 15 second voice message. Immediately it's pushed to all my notifications, and and
the rudest thing you can do right now is leave someone a voicemail. I apologize when I leave voicemails for people.
But it's not it's rethinking the voicemail. It's voice as a text message.
How is this different than a voicemail?
Because it doesn't save forever. And it just pops up.
You can delete your voicemails.
No, it's presentation. It's conversational.
Right.
Yeah.
So you see it like a text message, where instead of typing out, for things, things work better for text. Addresses, phone numbers. You're going to text those things, copy and paste those things. But if there's a list of instructions, or if I want to describe something, sending that as a 30-second voice message.
Yeah, but then if I want to reference it later, I have to listen to it again.
But that's again the best medium for the best type of conversation.
Just another option.
It would be cool if they.
I think when people travel and do it is how people are using VoIP.
And if you're multilingual, it's also important. I know a lot of people if you can speak one language but you're not good at the keyboard in that language, then this makes you able to to text someone in a language that you're not literate in, or not able to write in.
I didn't realize that was what the big draw for WhatsApp. That's interesting.
And because it's a default now, more people will have access to it.
Yeah.
They also added location stuff to iMessage.
Will I be able to do a Bing Translate of my voice messages with an extension?
Bing Translate of my voice messages.
So I mean, like a text to speech or a speech recognition.
I don't think
so. I can get it typed
That
out.
would be awesome, kind of, or
like,
terrible.
like Google Voice does with voicemails.
That's so bad. That feature never works.
Oh, really?
Have you ever?
No, I never
It's
used
always
it.
gibberish.
Oh, okay.
My work voicemail is a Google Voice number, so it's a complete It's I'll.
That's funny.
We can do a whole other podcast of me reading voicemails that are translated by Google.
Make Siri look good.
The stuff that was previously in Find My Friends, that app that we all signed up for on the day that it came out and never looked at again and turned off after like 3 days.
Apparently, I'm the only one who uses it because I use it all the time.
For your family?
Yep.
Yeah. See, Gina, I can never get Gina to do it.
It's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Hey.
Where are you at?
One time, usually it is creepy, and I'm usually informed that I've been creepy. But one time, my wife went to go check out a house, and she met the owner there, and she was really. When I told her I tracked her the whole time, she was relieved because she felt unsafe.
Okay.
So there you go. So at least if she was,
were you actually tracking the whole time, or did you just
I was.
tell her after
I was
that?
totally tracking her the whole time.
Do you ever do like the surprise meet and greet, like she's out someplace with the kids?
No.
And yeah.
No, but it's so handy. I don't have to like text her and say, when are you coming home? I can see where she is. I see when she's coming home.
Yeah.
Communication's important. I think it's less creepy than what Google does when you enable the live tracking, and you can pull up the web page where it tells you your entire where you've been over time, and it stores that.
Oh, that's
we
cool.
went through that.
Yeah. That's terrifying.
But
It's in all your Google accounts. If you let them track location.
It's terrifying, but it's also extremely useful as like a diary. And if they enable functionality that you annotate and store that for your personal uses, where was I last? Where did I get dinner 2 nights ago? And then you can pull that up and track the time and then make messages for yourself. That would be useful. But I mean, being able to see it is just kind of creepy.
Wow. I can see every phone check-in I've had with the Google app today, and it is exactly my commute path. And then to the office, and then there's a lot of dots around the office.
Yeah, sometimes it gets really confused because if you, for example, have a phone that doesn't have a cellular connection and it's just Wi-Fi, then it's just like, why it doesn't see it's a path, lines. And it's just like a starred chart.
As an aside but related, Google has a really cool travel log photo thing that you can do on Google Plus, where if you upload photos from your travels and you've gone to various
Hold on,
places.
guys. Google Plus Minute.
No.
Hold on. Hold on. Hey, Jeremy, what's going on with Google Plus these days?
I'm telling you, if you upload your photos and you want to create a photo album of your journey, I don't even think you have to do anything. You just give it the photos. It sorts them out into the various locations and then puts them in bunches, and then interspersed between them, it like throws in, things about that location. But then when you move to another location, it shows the map of that part of the world and does an old like 1940s
like Indiana Jones style?
Indiana Jones plane
Or
that
Muppets,
flies across the
Trouble
map
Map.
and leaves a dotted line behind it, and then focuses on the new part of the world, and then you scroll into those photos.
Surprise and delight.
It's pretty
This
cool.
has been the Google Plus Minute. Hey, did that second Muppets movie come out yet?
Yeah.
Really?
It's not nearly as good as Muppets.
The Muppets was great.
It was, yep. My daughter wants only to hear that soundtrack.
It's a really good soundtrack. She has good taste. As a smart kid. You can also set who has access to the location stuff. So you can do that on a per account basis. So I can say, okay, Gina can know where I am, but my daughter can't. So, whatever.
That's always been the case.
Seems good. Yeah, you could always do that. But now it's all integrated in messages.
Yeah,
or
that's good.
Or maybe it's that multitasking thing with the people. I don't know exactly. It's unclear exactly where that is, but it's somewhere in there. Markup lets you write inside emails with the trackpad. Draw. Like circle stuff, highlight stuff. This, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, this is a feature that sounds like it would be really, really good if you had, let's say, a laptop with a touch screen on it. It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, What you have your trackpad, and it does. Once you've drawn something, it refines it.
Have you done the thing where you write your signature on the trackpad
Phil Schiller,
so you can?
was it Phil Schiller demo?
No, he didn't
Phil
do
Schiller
any
wasn't
demos.
out. They killed Phil Schiller.
Superman did this.
It was
demo.
a Ferengi.
Oh, John Kerry.
Yeah, John Kerry. Apple
Kerry.
John Kerry.
No, but it wasn't him that did the demo where they zoomed in into the Yosemite picture and like circled it and like
That was him.
pointed. Was that him? And pointed at the two climbers. Look
Yeah.
at these climbers.
I don't think that was him. No, that was some nerd.
Yeah.
It was a second tier nerd.
Yep.
Okay. They probably took that picture with a drone.
I mean, I tuned out though. Who uses Mail app? Really?
Nope.
I don't.
Nope.
There's all these great new features for it, but I'm not going to use it.
Nope. Airmail. But really just Gmail. OS 10 Yosemite enables Lightning video capture of iOS 8 devices. So you can plug an iPhone in and capture video directly off of it?
That's cool. Yeah, so you plug an iPhone. You know about this?
No, I didn't see this.
You plug any iOS device into Yosemite, and it becomes a camera, but not up for the camera on the device. It's actually video capture of what's on the screen of the device.
So what if you turn on the camera
wait, so
on the
you're talking
device?
about USB?
Then yes, then you can see with the camera.
So it's USB though. So it's your regular Lightning cable, Lightning to USB. It
Yeah,
becomes
exactly.
USB
Yeah,
cam. That is cool.
And so
What's the
Yeah.
aspect ratio?
the aspect ratio.
I mean, sorry, the orientation.
It probably just pops up like a simulator. A window.
So you
that
can't
is the
when
Well,
you
I'm sure it
rotate
rotates. Usually on the simulator, you can rotate
Yeah.
the simulator.
But what that does now,
But if it's just a video feed as a webcam, then
one of the best things about the new App Store is there'll be video previews of every app.
yes, this is a good thing.
So this will allow you to capture videos, with any video capture app that can capture your screen.
That is super good news.
you also see that Apple in their MFI made for iPhone, made for iOS, I guess.
Yeah.
Certification is now enabled audio over Lightning. So audio headphones over.
Oh,
Lightning.
like a
So
direct
we didn't
digital
talk about
connection?
Beats with you, Jeremy, and I'm curious of your thoughts about the Beats acquisition. But we can imagine Beats headphones with not only 3.5 millimeter jacks but also Lightning connections,
Why would I want that?
lossless 24-bit
Oh, that's
audio.
interesting.
This,
Well,
this is them promising that they're going the Beats deal will
But
not
hold
only
on.
give you the best listening experience mechanically,
Can
but
I
That moves
digitally.
the
can I
DAC
not get lossless 24-bit over a little phono plug?
No.
Why not?
Because the DAC in the iPhone kind of sucks.
Okay.
That like in audiophile terms, which
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I
48
agree
kilohertz.
with. Yeah,
Digital audio output.
you can get higher sample rates on the digital to analog converter if you move that outside of the phone.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
I mean, theoretically, you could do that before, but you'd need a big thing to do that, and I don't know that there are APIs for that now. I think the market for that kind of thing is super duper small.
You know what? It doesn't matter if the
But
people,
Beats will charge $400 for it.
But if they can still keep on charging $400 for it or even more, the strength of that
Guys,
marketing momentum.
you need to throw out all your old $400 headphones and buy some new $400 headphones because they have a 4,000 kilohertz better DAC.
My only thought on the Beats acquisition that you guys didn't discuss is the possibility of Apple creating its own label.
Music label?
Yeah. And now that they have two very high-profile music producers, that's a possibility. I could see them becoming the artist-friendly label, turning the tables.
It's like, well, it would essentially allow self-publishing on iTunes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting, and it gives them an exclusive on that music if it's any good.
For however long they want.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know what the breakdown is on music. We should, I'm going to add Beats to the list because I tested Beats music this week, and it's super super interesting.
Of course it is. Apple owns it now.
I'm adding it to the list. The last thing on the list,
Oh boy.
yeah, HomeKit, HealthKit, CloudKit. We talked about a CloudKit already.
This is interesting because this is not a product or an app. This is a new ecosystem that they want to foster.
Both of these.
Both of these things.
Yeah. It's a series of APIs to connect a bunch of disparate devices and connections. So right now, we'll talk about HomeKit first because I think it's easier to understand. HomeKit is to pull all the home automation and Internet of Things stuff into one bucket, basically on the phone. So if you have, for example, a SmartThings hub that controls some light switches, and you have some Philips Hue light bulbs that are smart on their own and connect to Wi-Fi, and you have a Schlage lock, which theoretically could connect to the SmartThings hub as well, and
Garage door.
Yeah, garage door, maybe like a drop cam, couple drop cams.
Yeah.
Theoretically, all of this stuff could hook into one interface, and they're making Siri accessible to Siri.
So this is what part of this functionality of what services like Z-Wave offered before.
Well, Z-Wave isn't a service; it's a protocol.
Well, a protocol, but there are some protocols that require subscription payments.
No, so that's the confusing part. There are a bunch of open protocols like Z-Wave and Zigbee and X10 and all that stuff. Most of the devices that you use to run those devices that are hooked up via that protocol, all Zigbee and Z-Wave are is networks. It's just like Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or whatever. It's just low power 2.4 gigahertz mesh networks to connect devices to other devices.
But do they charge you a service fee in order to access
Z-Wave
something
is just
through
a
the internet?
protocol. So the thing that charges the money to access the internet is whoever provides the hub.
Right.
That's basically the interface between the internet and those devices. SmartThings is a thing that you buy for like $99 that does that with no monthly charge. They just say, look, we'll give you cloud service. It's built into the cost of the device. We're not going to charge you $10 a month. Comcast and AT&T and the cable providers and the internet providers are all coming into this business as well, and they're saying for only $10 a month on your plan, we'll add home alarm services. ADT has done this in the past, although they don't do the home automation stuff as much as just straight
Comcast
alarms.
just get screwed over. There was some lawsuit, and they had to refund a ton of money for that.
For
the
the
services don't actually work.
I'm sure they don't work. I can't imagine that Comcast is able to make that work. It's really hard. Most of the stuff that does that, like even when the hardware is good and reliable, like the SmartThings thing over the last year is actually getting to a point that you can use it. It's like doesn't crash. The switches stay connected and all that stuff. It's actually pretty good now. But the software, even though it's the best software that does that I've ever used, is still really, really super rough by like the standards of a light switch. Because that's what you're competing with.
Are you talking about the front end? Are you talking about the way that the devices communicate with each other?
I'm talking about the human interface for the software.
Okay.
But
Apple's solution doesn't solve that, right?
It could. If I can if I can make a script, which is easy to do in SmartThings, that's turn everything off, then I can just say, Siri, turn everything off. It's bedtime. And then that makes that much more compelling. Because right now I have to go in and tap 4 buttons, all the lights. To turn off the lights, I have to tap each set of lights individually, which is a little bit of a hassle. Or I have to tap one script that does the same thing, which still means I have to turn on the phone, unlock it, launch the app, go into the app, into the right section of the app, and then tap the right button. So anything that they can do to make that stuff more front and center makes it much more usable and is kind of compelling. The HealthKit stuff is equally interesting, but for a different reason. The HealthKit stuff purports to pull all of the potential biometric monitoring data you can collect on yourself into one place.
Which have they specified what that data is and what are the standard categories of data?
When you go look in the beta, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of categories of data, all the way down to like potassium levels in your blood. Obviously the obvious stuff like measuring glucose level for diabetics and blood pressure and weight are all there. But like it got down to stuff that you have to get blood work done at a hospital or a doctor's office normally to get. So.
And it will actually notify your doctor if levels go into a red zone.
I can't imagine that my doctor is ever going to sign up for that service. I don't think that seems unnecessary for the vast majority of people.
I wonder if they have to. It might just be an email.
My blood pressure cuff will tell the doctor when my blood pressure. It'll email my stuff to the doctor every month if I wanted to.
You have the Withings blood?
Yeah, the Withings blood pressure cuff. I wouldn't do that to my doctor. He works hard enough. I feel bad for him. People harass him all the time. He's a nice guy.
Dr. Jenkins, Look at me.
So I'm interested in that just because while there are some examples of those types of biometric monitoring devices talking to each other, like the Jawbone Up and the Withings Scale will talk to each other. Most of them are islands of data that don't connect. So if you use a Fitbit and a Fitbit activity monitor, a Withings Scale, it's hard to get those pieces of data together unless you just type in the weight manually every day.
And that island problem is the same problem with home automation devices, right?
Yeah.
All of this tells me that these standards are being set now to feed into some type of smartwatch product.
You think?
Yes.
I think that, well, maybe.
Because you don't release the hardware first.
I can change my nest from the pebble.
You don't release your hardware first, but make all the app developers and all the existing hardware guys feed their data into the API, into the protocols, and then Apple releases
That's
their
true.
hardware, and then gets all the data.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
That's true.
Oh, we didn't talk about Swift yet.
I was going to save that for last.
Okay. I thought you said that was the last thing.
Well, the last little thing. Okay, so Swift is Apple's new programming language for making iOS and presumably OS 10 apps too, right?
Yeah. If for anyone who didn't see the video, the live stream, this got what I perceived as the biggest applause.
The person I was talking to that was in the audience was like, "This." People cheered. People were
Yeah.
standing up and like
Developers.
People were
These
excited.
Developers were happy. I mean, this was a huge deal.
As someone who programs apps and has programmed apps,
I mean,
is
I've-
Objective-C hard to work with?
I've not worked with Objective-C,
So-
but I can tell you I have not because I've been intimidated by it in a way I'm not by Swift.
So the thing that my developer friend said is that Objective-C is obtuse in ways that don't make sense in a, like, if you're coming from writing, what did he say, interpreted languages on the web like Ruby on Rails and doing Python and stuff like that, this new language is more akin to that than writing C code.
Visually it is.
Yeah, well,
but it is
even-
compiled. It is
Yeah. Well, and even like in Objective-C and Xcode, if you want to make an app and you want to hook, when you call a class in the code, when you're framing up the UI, you also have to call the same class in the UI element that's going to use that class.
Mm-hmm.
So it ends up being a real nightmare of dependencies and stuff like that. And it's just different. It's unnecessarily complex for building a 5-button app, iPhone app, if that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So this is the benefit of one of the big benefits of this, I thought, as a person who is the shade treeiest of shade tree programmers, is that you can get instant feedback on how your app is going to run from within Xcode, from within the environment.
I don't know about that. I feel that was very, very cool, and it probably will enter into the classroom in fantastic ways.
As somebody who's learning, that instant feedback and being able to see what's happening at each step of the program as if you were running a debugger is really, really, it's one of the reasons I like Arduino.
It's almost like it turns programs into video timelines. Because you can watch it progress over time and then pause it and then scrub back through time and watch how your variables
Do programs
change.
work linearly that way? Like the implementations of actions?
There's always a loop.
I don't know how it scrubs. I don't know if it records like Prince of Persia style, if it records the history and then you scrub back through.
You can only back up 3 times,
through
Jeremy.
data. Yeah, exactly.
Your knife's empty.
Or if it's dynamic. Because if you have like random variables, you would expect them to change the next time through. But it's what I'm excited about is not so much that stuff, although
I think
from
for
an
learning,
education standpoint,
that, like, that's why I recommend
really
people
cool.
try Arduino when they want to learn how to program.
It just looks more accessible.
So here's the problem.
So what's exciting for you?
First of all, the fact that now everyone can be in on the ground floor of a new language. Like the one thing that's intimidating about learning any programming language is you're always so far behind.
Sorry, Jeremy. 2 years of experience in Swift needed to get this job was the joke that every programmer made on Twitter during the keynote.
And now it's like you and everyone else are kind of on an equal playing field. You can all figure this thing out together, and it looks beautiful. You know, it's everything's simplified. They give lots of examples where multiple lines can be compressed into one. It manages memory for you. You don't have to worry about overruns and crashing your app because of that.
There's a performance impact as a result of that, though, right?
Well,
presumably.
Who knows? Because we haven't seen that yet. I mean, the examples they gave was that it seems like it's more efficient.
Okay.
I don't think Objective-C is going to last more than another couple of years.
Right.
I mean, that's
people will abandon and go to this.
Swift is the future, and Apple's pretty clear about that.
So
it's got some pretty cool features too, like that Objective-C doesn't have. You can have functions that return multiple variables. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
So like if you write something, you write a piece of code that returns a number. Well, now it can return multiple numbers. Okay. That's totally game changing. You can have generic functions that accept multiple different variable types. So you can pass it, like if you add these together function, you can pass it 2 numbers, or you can pass it 2 text strings. One function that does both of those things. It just makes things so much easier.
So instead of having to write a function that then aggregates the 2 functions, the results of the two functions. You just have one function.
You don't have to write two functions. You can
Yeah.
just write one. Yeah.
So there's a downside though.
What's the downside?
Well, the downside is if you want to make cross-platform stuff, it's one layer more difficult than it was before.
If you were writing in Xcode, were you writing cross-platform stuff?
No, you probably not. But I guess if you want to make a game that ships on Android and iOS and Windows,
Yeah.
then you're boned.
Oh yeah.
Like you can't use this.
No, you're
But I guess you've never used Xcode for that though. It's only the faithful
yeah. You're using Unity if you're doing that, or Unreal
or something. They also showed Metal, which is their machine level, closer to the Metal API for graphics. OpenGL has gotten unwieldy and bloated over the last decade and a half, and Tim Sweeney came out and showed their Zen Garden demo, which looks really good.
Tim Sweeney came out and showed demo. That was impressive.
Yeah, he nerded out everyone else.
Tim Sweeney brings the heavy nerd, man. I saw Mark Rain. There's a secret. When Mark Rain is on Twitter tweeting about how awesome the Apple press conference is going, that means Unreal is going to be shown at some point during the press conference. So that's it. Oh, peer-to-peer AirPlay, Apple TV with iOS 8. Wasn't that the way it worked before, or was there?
No.
Oh, you have to have internet connection to validate the login.
You have to be on the same network, so you have to be on Wi-Fi.
Oh, so you can just do a Bluetooth Direct or
Yeah.
Wi-Fi Direct?
Yeah, same way that AirDrop works.
Oh, that's interesting.
So now it's in my case, like my router's kind of far away from my Apple TV.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting there, I'm not so sure I'm going to get the signal. Now,
Well,
bam.
Is your Apple
the
TV
past
not
way
wired?
It works, it was sent.
Oh.
The past way it works, just like with Chromecast, it sends an address. So the Apple TV, it was pulling from YouTube directly once the handoff happened.
He's
I'm
talking about using it as a
streaming
monitor.
from my phone.
Okay, so it's same with it's just iOS, so it's not Mac OS.
That's also, by the way, there's a lot of lock-in in these updates.
There is a lot of like this is very clearly once you get in, you're in.
Yeah.
You're there forever. Although like some of the stuff is more open. Like giving file system level to iCloud Drive
yeah.
stuff makes it much easier to get your stuff off if you want to leave.
But the CloudKit stuff is not. So I think if you build a game,
If you're building an app and you use CloudKit, yeah,
right.
you're Apple forever.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean that's always the double-edged sword of Apple development, right? Is that if you lean too hard into their stuff, I mean the benefit of being on Apple development is that if you roll out something that showcases new iOS 8 features, then they'll put you on the stage during the release keynote and you'll sell 1 million copies of your app, right? So it's the gamble you take. I guess with that in mind, unless we have anything else from WWDC, I thought it was overall I thought it was one of the better WWDC showings in recent memory. Like they are moving those platforms forward in a way that I thought was really interesting, and it's all stuff that seems to highlight the strengths of the different platforms. That was my takeaway.
It's exciting for developers. I think when users get these updates this fall, they're going to install them, and it will be like, did I install them? I can't tell.
It won't be like iOS 7 where it's a big visual refresh.
Like that was huge.
The Yosemite update is going to be a big visual refresh.
No, you're right. I'm talking about iOS 8.
Okay.
No, I like Yosemite a lot. The best thing about Yosemite is they got rid of those stupid Aqua little gel buttons in the upper left-hand corner of every window.
But they also changed the functionality, which I don't like.
No, same functionality.
No,
The green button's different.
Is it?
Green button's now full screen. You can't do Mac. Green button is now full screen.
There's no.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Some
in
apps
the
it's-
animation,
Yeah.
they showed the icon change a little bit.
Oh, you're so right.
And I think that while full screen is for some people makes the most sense, when you're plugging your MacBook into a projector or a monitor or something, that plus button maximizing was very useful. And now I wish it was like a shift hitting that plus button.
Right.
Try that.
I just
Hold shift and press
or
that
option.
or
Yeah.
Oh, there it goes.
Bam.
Oh, that's exactly how I want it to work. They've thought of everything.
It's still going. That's weird.
They've thought of everything.
Browser performance. So if you're thinking about installing Yosemite or iOS 8, don't do it on a production machine because both are kind of janky
Oh my
still.
god, that genie animation was real slow.
But when you
Jeremy.
hold shift, it makes it go slow.
Yeah. I'm just glad that they refined that. I've always hated that. That and that faux 3D dock, that the platform that your icons would sit on. Every time I look at OS 10, up until Yosemite, those things have bugged me to no end.
Wait, the
gels?
No, the dock. Put your mouse all the way down.
no, I do it on the left side.
Yeah.
On
If you have it
on
no,
a laptop, you should do it on the left side.
I'd make it tiny.
When it's on the
Make
bottom,
it tiny and also make it on the left side.
they had that weird perspective.
Vertical space is more
platform.
important.
You mean the like they're resting midway through a platform?
Yes.
I like the flat icons.
Yeah, me too.
I'm okay with that.
It's very iOS 7 like.
I don't like when they say you won't believe how much time we spent on the trash can. I don't care.
I don't care about the translucency.
Or I don't. That's Windows
Yeah.
7.
So you want to play some music and talk about what we have been testing, gentlemen?
Yep.
That is really cool. How does it?
Jesus Christ.
Jeremy Williams,
Will Smith.
what have you been testing?
Well, I had a hard drive crash.
That's scary.
Yeah, it really was unfortunate. It's what I respond poorly to hard drive crashes,
Yeah, I panic.
where it really affects me in a way that people who aren't computer nerds don't understand. Apparently,
Hold on. I want to get to the bottom of this because this is important. Do you have things don't work anxiety?
what is that? How does that
So
manifest?
Gina pointed this out to me years ago, and it has affected me deeply because it is when things are broken in a way that prevents me from using them the way I want to. For example, if my PC breaks and I have to reinstall Windows, there's no pause. Like I can't just leave the PC broken for 2 days and then fix it on the weekend.
No, you fix it
I'll
immediately.
stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning
Yes.
fixing it and
It-
suffer
it
for
is
the
an-
rest of
it
the
is an
week.
extreme inconvenience.
Right. If the TV stuff isn't working right, I get really agitated until I figure out what's wrong with all the HDMI business and get it all set back up again and working
yeah,
again.
I have that.
Yes.
And-
it is a common thing for nerds,
And
I believe.
like mentally, I understand.
Hashtag broken anxiety.
I would be better if I just took some
Now what about
distance,
cars?
made some space,
Don't care about cars.
stopped thinking about it for a little bit. I'd be better off. I'd make a better decision.
Yeah. But instead, you're up at 3 a.m. reinstalling Windows and trying to figure out how to restore the backup and putting your hard drive in the freezer.
Yeah. Well, see, I didn't do that. I actually believe that that's not going to work. I read enough reports.
Doesn't
that
work.
is a fallacy.
Never works.
But what I did do is I researched heavily drive savers and their competitors to actually get the data back. And that's still a possibility. I have like a FedEx slip from drive savers to get this data back.
Ready to go.
What they quoted me is what they quoted everybody, which is like minimum of $800,
Yeah.
maximum of about $2,700.
And is that to get individual files or is that to get everything that they can get off of the drive?
The latter.
Okay.
They
That's actually
They don't do individual files.
right. That's so the old way of doing this is that you would send them the drive and you'd say, I need this folder. And they'd pull that folder off. It was like some business essential thing. And then you'd get a bill for like $2,000.
Yeah.
So this seems
Right.
better, at least.
I guess. But there's a terabyte and a half of data on this thing. I don't even remember what's on the drive. You know, I remember some things,
Yeah.
but this is like years and years and years of various things. It's a lot of games. It was in 2 partitions, games,
Did they
and
at
work.
least send it all back to you on
All kinds
a
of
new
things.
drive?
Yeah, new drive.
So you get a new drive that's
No, they charge you extra for that.
So you can send them 2 drives.
You can do that.
Okay.
So anyway, I just had to. So I thought about fixing myself. So I got online. I discovered, okay, you can swap the PCBs of hard drives and sometimes get a functioning drive. But nowadays, you have to swap one of the chips on the PCBs that
The
is like
TPM
an
thing.
EEPROM that
Yeah.
has actual, very specific data about your platters.
And also the drives have a longer lifespan. Like Seagate has been selling 1.5 terabyte drives for like 5 years now.
Yeah.
So you have to get the same model drive, the
Right.
same rev drive, and the same firmware drive on
Yes.
those boards. It's fucking impossible to get the
You
right board.
feel my pain.
I've done this before. I've walked down this path before with you, sir.
Not with the soldering is the worst part.
Well, that I felt good about because I've done all this surface mount stuff and I have a hot air gun. So I was like, okay, I'm uniquely
Surface mount's
enabled
great.
to do this.
Is that
So-
not amazing soldering, by the way?
Yeah, it's fun.
So you're just you don't know you're worried about the right
No, I did it.
board. Oh, you did.
So I sent off. I got on eBay. I found the board. Right from
What did you
where-
do? Find the old drive and then just another drive?
No,
and
there's
just-
a company that just sells the boards.
that's nice.
And they're tailored for your firmware and model number and all this stuff.
And then you put in the chip. Is it just
I
one chip?
swapped the chip. This cost me $75. I said if this works, drive savers be damned because I saved a lot of money.
So you don't know yet.
I swapped the boards, swapped the chips, put it on the drive. Same problem.
Oh.
Click of death.
Seagate 1.5 terabyte drive.
Yeah, and by the way,
Fucking
as I was
A.
Googling the model number,
Yeah.
what comes up, like third result, tested.com.
Told you.
With Norman Chan, right? You wrote it. It's like you wrote a paragraph and called out only one hard drive. and it was this drive.
It hit all of us because we recommended it at Maximum PC. I apologize. That's Nathan Edwards that wrote that article.
Wow.
When you're reviewing hard drives, it's really hard because you can't know that they're all going to fail 2 years down the road.
Well, the backup services are doing really good, sharing really good information now, because I think CrashPlan was one.
CrashPlan is the
that
one. Backblaze
did a 5-year. They've been running for 5 years. So they didn't, and their uses are very different because they need writing. And
they had the benefit
all
of
the time,
and
benefit of time, and they're taxing these drives.
Yeah.
So they actually still buy, but because like their recommendations for backup models are different than your backup models, because they actually in their budget swap out the drives much sooner. So they care about they don't care about 5 years, they care about 3 years.
So
anyway, I don't know what's on this drive. I'm still curious if I want to retrieve it because there are things on there I want back. I just don't know if it's worth that much money to me.
Right.
The one thing that I really desperately needed was the GameFrame source code.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
But thankfully, I had a recent backup on Dropbox.
Okay.
I just don't have the archive of every version. I can't go back and see it progress
how you did it.
from a nostalgia standpoint.
Why don't you save that on GitHub or something like that?
Look, I don't do GitHub, but I probably will when I release the source code.
Okay.
But in any case, to do a free GitHub, it has to be open, right? I don't want it to be open yet.
Fair enough.
Anyway, so I have the source code. It's up to date. Everything's solved with that. So that's my major problem.
Okay.
That's solved. Now I just got to figure out if I want to do this or not. I probably won't unless I discover, oh yeah, that was on that drive. I need it back.
It's one of my children's first steps on video.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just sitting there. But what I've looked into since then are backup services, and you mentioned a couple of them. And I didn't realize how cheap they'd gotten. Mm-hmm. So I've been testing backup services, and I signed up for Backblaze, which is a local company that offers $50 a year for unlimited backup storage.
Yeah.
And it supports external drives, which isn't universal.
Yeah. You mean you can back up external drives?
Yes, that are connected to your computer. And I'm very happy with it. My whole computer uploaded in 2 days.
And once that's it, that's so useful.
If I had just done that, for $50 a year, it's a no-brainer. Everybody should be doing some sort of backup of their entire drive.
Now, is it just one computer per computer?
Yeah, it's $50 for a computer.
Yeah.
So you need to do is copy everything to one computer every night.
Yeah, you could do that.
And then just $50.
Do they track changes?
Yeah, they have every file that's on your computer up to a month. And then after a month, they get wiped.
How is that stuff
It's only
secured?
current. It's encrypted when it goes up.
Okay.
But then you can download specific files from their website, or they'll send you a hard drive with all of your data.
That's nice. So when they send you a hard drive with all of your data, is that just something you can drop in your machine and it'll just boot? Or is it something you would then have to build up a machine and restore? Do you know?
I think it's just a hard drive with the data.
You know, the rule on backups, I learned this the other day because I had been backing up my MacBook to an OS X server, to my iMac, which is an OS X server running on it, with the hard drive plugged in. And I never tested the restore until I put Yosemite on the other day. I was like, nope, I can't deal with this as a production platform.
Yeah.
Here is, I'm rolling back. Oh, wait. I can't restore because my DNS settings are set up wrong on the laptop or on the router or something. And it took 6 hours for me to figure that out. Like to figure out how to restore that backup. That ended up with me downloading Mavericks, reinstalling Mavericks, and then doing the migration assistant from there, rather than doing just like the recovery console restore from Time Capsule.
Time Machine.
It's OS X. When you have an OS X server, which you can buy the software from the App Store for like $20 or something, it lets you treat any drive hooked up to a Mac as a time capsule on your network.
Okay.
So you test the restore. That's what I'm telling you.
What I'm saying is, if I knew it was $50,
yeah,
I would have done it. It's less money than
a hard drive,
a big hard drive.
Yeah,
and you can access the files mobile with an app.
And they're off-site, you know, so it's.
Oh,
good.
really? You can access the files from an. Oh, I'm totally signing up. That's it. That's it for me. I'm done ditching the safe deposit box.
Safe deposit box.
Safe deposit box is a working scheme that works really well. I'll move that to once a year.
That is off-site too.
Yeah.
Now, I've also been testing the Spark Core, which is an amazing little Arduino-compatible ARM device. It's a microcontroller that's Arduino compatible.
But it runs, so you can run Arduino code on it.
Yeah.
But a lot of the libraries that are compiled for Atmel, is
Yep.
that what the other chip is?
Yeah.
Don't run, right?
The ARM stuff
Yeah.
is different. So, but there's been a lot of work on it. They were successful Kickstarter like 6 months ago.
They're shipping now.
And they've now got VC backing. And it's cool. It's $40, but it's got Wi-Fi embedded on it.
That's the neat thing.
I thought that was the neat thing. You told me about the cloud
Yeah.
services. I didn't realize that they had some sort of cloud service out of the box.
Yeah.
That's the neat thing. It's incredible.
So you don't have to have a server set up to
Right.
do always-on stuff with an Arduino
Yeah.
that's connected to the internet and thus your phone.
So it'll do the NAT traversal. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
So you don't have to open up ports on your
Right.
Wi-Fi device. It's like it just works. It phones home, and then you can send signals to the Spark Core over the internet from anything else. And
They have an app for iOS and
Make it work.
Android.
within a half hour of opening the box, I was controlling an LED on the device over the internet just by sending the signals. And then I hooked it up to the game frame, and I was able to control my 2 buttons over the internet. Which
Can
is
you
lovely.
are you gonna plan on writing up a little guide on how to do that for people who are getting game frames? That'd be useful.
Can does it have what I can't I2I bus? Is that what it is? The thing that lets you send data over 2 of the pins, over one of the pins.
The I squared C, the wire
C.
stuff. Yeah,
It does.
Uh-huh.
That was I talked to them at Maker Faire, and the guy I was talking to was not a technical guy, and he didn't know the answer to that.
Yeah,
but I wanted to know if you could drive LCD displays off of multiple pins of that thing, so that then you could do other stuff. It's just super neat. And the fact that they have an app, you can build apps that use their APIs, but you can also just do basic stuff from their app.
Yeah.
And it seemed super neat.
It's really cool, and this cloud stuff is no joke. I mean, that was a lot of engineering.
I mean, the downside of the cloud stuff is that if their service goes down, then your stuff stops working.
Yes.
So
And
buyer
the
beware.
more people that use it, the slower it might get.
You can also, however, the cloud stuff is also available. So I think they even have like EC2 libraries, EC2 images or something like that. They said you could run your own cloud infrastructure if you wanted for your custom app.
It's not out yet, but they're releasing that soon.
Okay.
So, and that'll be cool because you can do local stuff that way too. Because right now there's a bit of a lag, there's milliseconds, but it's still a noticeable amount of delay.
But if you have a server in your business or home or whatever, then you could do that. It was super neat.
It's really cool.
I went home and immediately ordered one.
And it's the same kind of specs as the Teensy is. The Teensy is another ARM compatible or Arduino compatible ARM microcontroller. Sorry, and but that's only $20. It lacks the Wi-Fi.
What's the benefit? ARM just gives you more capability, like more registers, and you can write bigger programs.
Everything
and stuff?
is faster megahertz, more memory, more flash.
So if you were doing Game Frame today, would you use something like this instead of the chips that you used, or would you stick with Atmel?
Well, Teensy is they have a closed source bootloader, so I'd have to buy the chips from the guy who makes that.
Okay.
It wouldn't. I mean, it probably makes sense to do it because it's actually a lot faster. I actually ported GameFrame to Teensy to check it out, and my refresh rate for running video, like we did the Tron thing, it went from 24 hertz to about 100.
Oh wow!
And obviously, I could have enough memory to fit in both clock and game modes, and it was it's a lot of flexibility. But the Spark Core thing, given the internet functionality, is wide open.
Does that mean you would be able to upload images to the game frame theoretically?
Yeah, but not through their cloud functionality. You'd have to figure that out. You'd have to come up with some sort of
like a local thing or
copy
something
from the internet function. Yeah, I don't know how it would work, but
anyway,
it's really cool. I mean, the future is bright.
Well, and just so you know, if you want to buy like a Wi-Fi shield for an existing Arduino, they're usually $40 or $50 minimum, right?
Yeah,
I mean they're expensive.
Yeah, I mean I don't even know now. It used to be like the popular one was XB, which was its own protocol, and you're spending $100 just to get the Arduino and Wi-Fi. Yeah. And Arduino recently came out with a new one. The Zero. And it doesn't have any wireless capabilities.
No, bare bones.
Yeah.
Norm, on your left wrist, you have a shiny new Pebble. No scratch.
Also a Pebble, no scratch. Your Pebble is a scratch.
My Pebble has a
you're
scratch.
Using the chain now.
I changed to the band. I figured I'd give it a try.
Looks so
Gino
ugly.
likes it.
I don't like the band, the chain band. Jeremy, which one's the better band?
Oh, I have an aversion to touching metal. It's widely known by my friends and family.
Just touching metal, period.
You really picked a bad. Are you like what's his name in Speed 2 that was allergic to copper?
I don't know. I have
Willem
a
Dafoe?
like
Willem Dafoe.
it's palpable. I can feel it, and grocery carts, if they don't have
Really?
plastic on the handles or those little things you carry.
Do you wear gloves?
Sometimes I like bring my jacket down and wrap it around.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm going leather.
Okay.
You're getting a pebble also.
No, but if I did, I'd
If
get
you did?
leather.
Yeah. Oh, the good thing is it comes with both.
Sweet.
It's easy
Yeah.
to swap it out.
I learned how to take links out of a watch band because I had to make it shorter for my dainty wrists.
Is it with that tool you have in your hand?
I used this tool, which is like a dental pick.
Oh God, it looks horrible. Looking at
Can
that
I,
tool.
Can I here? Let me. Let me work on the tartar.
Ow, ow.
Is the pebble the thing, or is it a sign of the thing to come?
Right now it's a thing. I wouldn't get any other smartwatch except it is on the cusp of the thing.
It's the only one I've used that was actually like that. The experience was good.
And the profile is it's still boxy. It's not.
But it's like a big watch boxy. It's not like.
But it looks literally like a box. Like if it had curves.
I've had square watches before.
No, I'm not saying the top profile. I'm saying the vertical profile.
Oh, right.
Like the edges, if they were beveled, if they were chamfers, then it would look less like a rectangle box on your wrist.
So the reason I switched to the metal band is I thought that the metal band looked more in line with what the watch, the boxy nature of the watch than the leather band.
Both of us also have the silver one, and there is a black pebble.
Okay, the black one seemed like a mistake. It seemed like it would get the chip off pieces of black and it would not look good very quickly.
I was more interested in the black one, but
anyway. It was back ordered.
Yeah.
Longer. So I'm kind of so I scratched it. I bitched it out on Twitter, sent in a support request asking if I could send it back in, and they'd replace the crystal for me. And they responded and were like, "Yeah, just send it back. Here's the RMA stuff. We'll replace it. You bought it recently enough that we don't want you to be bummed out about scratching the crystal." So I thought that was really neat. We'll have a video up on that in a couple of weeks after Norm has time to use his a little bit.
So you just used your phone and your watch turned on, and it started scrolling stuff on it. Was that because you used your phone?
No. The watch doesn't actually scroll stuff. So when notifications, the watch doesn't automatically scroll stuff when I scroll messages on my phone.
That's true.
When an email comes through, and because it's tethered, it will push a portion of that email to the phone, and you can scroll through like the first couple lines, but you can't do anything. Send stuff back to the phone. You can't delete the message. You can't respond.
Well, you can put apps on that'll let you do like quick responses and stuff like that.
For text messages.
For text messages and stuff like that.
But for email, you're just getting it is the way they want to use it is to let you know whether you should take your phone out of your pocket.
That's exactly it.
Got it.
And when you describe it that way, it's the first worldiest of first world devices.
Do I really need to take my phone out of my pocket?
Oh man,
my arm buzzed.
It's my arm's like 3 inches away from my phone. I'd have to put my hand back down and put it in my pocket and then push the thumb button on the phone.
If it lets you delete the message or flag messages on the watch,
I think
then that would be much more useful.
I think maybe you're a little more email focused than many people, though, Norm.
I think that the person buying this is pretty.
I like
focused.
I like the music control,
which takes three taps to get to.
2. You tap once and then tap again.
Okay, 2 taps to get to. Notifications takes 3 taps. I
use it in the car if I have my phone in my pocket. You don't have a Bluetooth thing in your car. So I get in the car and my phone just starts playing whatever music was on last. And in that regard, it's easy for me to pause or fast forward or whatever without having to take my phone out of the pocket because I don't actually have the controls on the stereo.
Don't you charge your phone in your car?
Sometimes. Not that often. Usually I just charge my phone at night.
It's gonna give you phantom vibrating wrists.
Yes, I can change my thermostat with my watch.
Is that a fact?
Yeah, Jeremy suddenly interested.
Real warm in your house.
I can make it as hot. I can burn Gina out.
You can
if I
torture.
Want.
It's like a Bond villain.
It's
getting warmer in here, isn't it? As you stare intently at the person's face and touch and adjust your watch.
So the other day we were doing a video and I showed the Nest thing. And then I got home and I was like, why is the fan running? And I turned the fan on during the video and it just ran all day. And she was like, I thought it was weird there. The heater was running all day, but whatever. 85 degrees.
Whatever.
It wasn't the heat on. It was just the fan, for the record. Tested Beats Music. It's interesting. I've been an Rdio subscriber for a long time.
You're not talking about headphones. You're talking about the service.
The service.
Yeah.
Music by Beats. What's it called?
Yeah.
Um,
I'm right with you.
have you been using it?
I'm an RDO guy, and I've been trying it out.
Yeah. So
You guys are both audio guys. It's Apple now. I gotta try it.
Yes.
I gotta
if
try
it's
it.
gonna become some sort of,
if it's gonna be part of my ecosystem,
well, I'm interested.
I gotta embrace the new adopted child.
Here's the thing. The Kool-Aid is apple flavored. The thing that I
guessing
wanted
if
to
it must
see.
be all right.
Listen, stop your derisive behavior for 3 minutes. The thing I wanted to see is if they're going to add a subscription service that theoretically has voice control, which RDO and Spotify don't, and would be nice to me since I listen to music in the car most of the time.
Yeah, me too.
I wanted to see how it worked. It's primarily where RDO is primarily artist based. You follow artists, you add albums to a collection. There is basically a page. The thing that I like that Beats does that's really neat is they have a page that's tailored to shit that you have shown evidence that you like, both by telling it what artists you like, telling it what albums you like. Fast forwarding through songs indicates you probably don't like that song very much, stuff like that. And they build a tailored for you page that gives you a wide variety. It gives me a wide variety across all of the kinds of music I like, of different concepts, like different types of music to listen to each day. So I'm going to go to mine and I'll tell you what's on it right now, and you get a deep glimpse into my soul. But it is.
So what does the page look like? Describe the page.
The page is a list of. It looks like a Windows Phone icon. It's like a grid, basically. So it's a mixture of both whole albums, because it knows that I like to listen to whole albums, as well as curated playlists, live albums, stuff like that. That does a pretty good job of finding something that I'm going to be interested in listening to. So, for example, today's Just For You for me is Neil Young at Carnegie Hall, which is a live recording from 2014 of Neil Young. I don't have any Neil Young in my collection, but it knows that I like Buffalo Springfield and Crosby, Stills and Nash, so I think it assumes that I'm going to like Neil Young.
Is that transparent, or it tells you because you like this?
No, it does not tell me that, but I'm using my knowledge of music and what I like and what it's recommending overlaps. It has music for the masses because I listen to an indie thing. It has the Shins' Oh Inverted World because I like early 2000s indie music. It has Simon & Garfunkel's Deep Cuts, which is a curated playlist of like B-sides and stuff that you don't normally hear from Simon & Garfunkel, because I play a lot of Simon & Garfunkel because the baby likes it. It has intro to Blink-182. Don't know why that one's there. Free Will and Bob Dylan, the whole album. Ellie Goulding, Lights. I don't know what that is. Best of 60s Singer-Songwriters, Volume 1. Probably I've been listening to too much Simon & Garfunkel lately. A couple Green Day albums, intro to Stone Temple Pilots, who are underrated from the early 90s.
And the point is that you can tap any of these and it'll just start playing.
It just starts playing. And like I said, it's unlike RDO, where you can get like a Pandora-style radio station based on a song, an artist, an album, whatever. This gives you a mixture of that, plus these curated playlists that the playlists have been pretty fucking good so far. And albums that aren't necessarily the obvious albums. Like Nashville Skyline by Bob Dylan is an album that is it's a deep cut album for Bob Dylan. It came out in like 1970 or 69 or something like that, when he was almost into his Christian phase, but was already playing electric stuff. And it's a great album. I'd never listened to it before. I never would have probably known, because there's like 85 Bob Dylan albums. But it exposes interesting stuff. Here's a Spoon album. OK Computer pops up. It's an interesting mix of shit that you would open because the problem I find with RDO is that I hardly ever go out and discover on RDO.
RDO has a radio service, though, right?
But the radio service, why am I paying for a radio service when Pandora exists?
Because you can
it's probably
skip
better.
and you can bookmark and play those songs whenever you want.
Maybe.
So it's complementary to the service.
Do they have a radio service that's different than the Beats artist channel?
They do not have a radio service on Beats to speak of. It's all, well, you can do the radio equivalent on Beats is that music sentence. So
like the way I use Spotify is you can create radio stations based on anything, based on playlists, songs, artists, and then if I like the radio station and I like a song, I can say, oh, bookmark this artist or save this album to my playlist.
So Beats also has curated playlists from like Pitchfork and Rolling Stones and the Ellen Show and stuff like that. I haven't gotten into that. That seems like a dark hole. The way they do a radio station on Beats is they have this thing called the sentence, and here's this. I'll read the sentence to you. It's like a Mad Lib. I'm blank and feel like blank with blank to blank. So and the choices are in the club, at the gym, in the car, poolside, at work, on the subway, in the shower, at a party, at my computer. There's dozens of them. So let's say we are at work. I'm bored as hell. That's probably right. At my computer, I feel like dancing, pre-partying, kicking back, pre-partying with my lover, myself, strangers, the dream team, my BFF, my boo, your mom,
Dream team.
my coworkers, the boys, no
Wait,
regrets, my
did you say
boss,
my
my
boo?
pets, my boo. That's one of them.
Wow.
My pets, my thoughts, a stiff
boy.
drink, my girls, your ex, my friends, my haters, beautiful people.
Wait, your ex?
Yeah,
What was the option? Like not my ex,
my ex, your ex,
your ex.
yeah.
I'm at the club.
It's like one of
with
them here is your mom.
ex. Wow.
Yeah, beautiful people. Two, and then this one is sound of the 70s, beats music, indie, electronic dance, alt rock, hip hop, reggae and dancehall, pop, classic rock, vintage soul and funk, 90s pop rock, musica tropical. I'm doing that. No, I'm not going to do that. That'll be terrible. How about hair metal? Okay, so the sentence I've constructed is I'm at my computer and feel like pre-partying with beautiful people to hair metal. I play the sentence. It thinks for a moment, and it starts with Aerosmith, What It Takes.
I bet like half of those things will start with Aerosmith.
Anytime it's beautiful people, it's Aerosmith. It's weird. I like the playlist. That's the part. That's what I'll say. I think the playlists are good. I find myself listening to music that I'm not already familiar with more with beats than I have on Rdio, because on Rdio I just go to my collection and hit heavy rotation and hit play.
I wish there was a service that allowed you to transfer your collection and playlist over.
I found it kind of liberating to start from scratch, but yes,
Did
that
you?
would be nice.
Yeah.
Desk building. I started building the desk yesterday with Joey over at Adam's shop. It's terrifying making cuts. When I bought a 4x8 sheet of maple plywood that's really pretty, and I need to use almost all of it to build the desk that I'm building. So I had completely forgotten the anxiety you get when you're like cutting the wood for the first time, and you have to make sure like you get one shot at making those cuts right. Because if you need to trim off a half an inch, it's either really hard or almost impossible, depending on how the table saw works.
Tolerance.
Yeah, and knowing the right tolerance is super important. So did a bunch of work yesterday. We probably have maybe 1.5 more weeks of that, but that episode will be up in a couple of weeks. We're in the first episode of those Adam Shop builds with me and Norm at some point in the future. Will start next week. So those are presented by Tested Premium members. I think that's it for me. Norm, what have you been testing?
Still got that Pebble.
Feel good about it?
Mm-hmm.
Any camera stuff?
Some stuff in the works.
Okay. You want me to adjust a metal
Let's
watch band for
go-
you later?
No, I'm no metal watch for me. No
Okay.
metal watch band.
I'm going to play emails.
Yes.
Got an email or two?
Emails?
Well, but we do the other one.
Emails.
'Cause it's, we don't do emails. We do
Emails?
No.
Questions?
Boom.
If you have a question for This Is Only a Test, the email address is podcast@tested.com. Please keep your questions brief, concise, and to the point. Our first question, we also take audio questions if you want to send those in. Nobody ever does because they take a lot of work. The first question comes from Rob Perry Cruz. Rob says, "Hey, Tested Crew, I recently got a call from my wireless company wondering if I'd rather switch from my grandfathered unlimited data plan to a plan with less data for less money. My paranoia quickly set in. Even though my wife and I combined use less than 1 gigabyte a month, I hate the idea of giving up the ability to stream Netflix and Pandora with reckless abandon. Is my carrier trying to get me to switch just to screw me over and maximize their profits? Is there a chance that in the near future, we will become so reliant on nonstop access to these services that I kick myself for giving up all that sweet data just to save a few $100 in the short term? Keep up the good work. Always be testing." I made the decision 18 months ago to go from an unlimited plan on AT&T to a limited plan on Verizon that's shared with my wife, where we have one shared data pool of like 8 gigs. And the most data I've ever used when I was in Baltimore and was streaming Netflix on my phone was 4 gigabytes. I do FaceTime over cellular. I don't think about how much data I'm using. I use it like a crazy man. And it's been cool. So I would encourage that behavior, especially if you're on a shared plan.
Do you tether?
I tether my iPad, I tether my laptop, I tether other people. I was in the airport and some guy was trying to get on the Wi-Fi at SFO and it was broken. I was like, hey, hook up to Will.
No way.
Yeah, I'm that kind of guy. It's like, don't download any porn or anything.
I didn't know
No
you were
kiddie
that
porn.
kind of guy.
Jesus, I'm like 8 gigs a month.
What are you doing?
Tethering.
Do you not connect to Wi-Fi at home?
No,
Oh.
I don't.
Why not? What are you, nuts?
Because I have unlimited. I don't care.
Yeah, but you have slow cell speed.
But I'm not using my phone. But my router sucked also for a long time.
Norm had shitty Wi-Fi, so instead he just used his phone.
I used to use my phone. Yeah. And LTE it's great
Norm logic.
at my house.
You need better Wi-Fi.
I got better Wi-Fi.
We talked about that last week.
Jeez.
But still, I'm unlimited, so I don't care.
Norm doesn't care.
And I've been grandfathered in.
Yusuf wants to know, hey guys, I've been a long-time listener to your podcast from Kuwait, and I would like to know what is the best mid-range soundbar that I can get for my 6x4 meter room. I have a 50-inch LED TV, and I mostly use it for movie viewing. I would highly appreciate your response.
I just bought a soundbar for a room that's smaller than that.
6x4 meters is pretty big,
Yeah,
right?
this-
That's like
this
24 by
room-
16.
This room's like
18 by 16.
honestly, you can get a Vizio soundbar, which is the 5.1 soundbar, at the same price as what the 2.1 version was at a month ago. $250 for a Vizio 5.1 soundbar.
Does it actually do 5.1?
It does 5.1, but not true Dolby, because it's not. Depends what you plug into it.
Not Dolby Digital 5.1.
Not Dolby Digital 5.1. The way you plug your soundbar into your TV is important, or the audio system.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're. So we have bunches of stuff connected to our TV. If you have most soundbars that I've seen only have one HDMI input or maybe two. So what if I have an Apple TV and a couple of consoles that I want to plug in?
You should plug your soundbar into your receiver then.
So you should still have a receiver in addition to the soundbar.
Yes, or plug everything in that's why people buy TVs or that use a switch as an intermediary, HDMI switch, because it's audio and video, and then output optical from the TV to the soundbar.
That's what I
which is
do.
probably the best way to do it.
And
That's
do you still get 5.1 from that optical port?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just maybe not the digital stuff, the Dolby stuff.
Why not?
Yeah, the Dolby is the 5.1.
You don't get. Let's see. I've read the Wirecutter story on this.
This is just FYI. Usually, when somebody asks us something about a category that we don't cover
You
regularly,
don't get the true DTS sound.
Oh yeah.
With that.
That's 7.1 uncompressed, right?
Yeah.
Our recommendation is just assume that the Wirecutter's recommendation on any category that we don't cover
And
regularly.
it's the one
is
that
our
I bought,
recommendation.
and it's great, and it's super clear and loud. It has Bluetooth, wireless sub.
I would recommend going to a brick and mortar retailer and listening to soundbars, because when I was searching around, there was a Sony that was really popular, and I think Panasonic or some other brand, and everyone recommended the Sony, but I went Best Buy and checked them both out, and Panasonic sounded good enough. It's like half the price, so I picked up that one. But
Yeah, don't spend. You don't need to spend like $500 on a
No.
soundbar. You could spend $250, $200 if you want 2.1.
Yeah.
and it's great.
Is there still a problem where some of the TVs don't pass 5.1 back? I know Panasonic TVs don't pass 5.1 through the optical if it comes in HDMI or something like that. There are limitations with what your TV can pass to your to the soundbar out the optical. So if you're going to plug stuff in with all the devices coming into HDMI on the TV and then going out optical to the soundbar, you might want to read the manual and see what it actually does. And that varies on a set. For a while, I know Sony was the only one who did that right. The 5.1 out from the TV, and maybe that may be fixed on newer model TVs, but on my TV at least, the Panasonic didn't handle it right. Do you guys like the soundbars?
Oh yeah.
so convenient. I mean, they sound so much better than your TV alone.
Yes, but don't cheap out. Don't buy a $100 soundbar.
No, go to check them out. See what sounds good to you.
There you go. David Chang wants to know, hey, Will, I was wondering how you've been enjoying your open sprinkler unit that you installed last year. I just came back from a month-long trip to find most of my lawn burnt to a crisp because none of my program settings had stuck on my old sprinkler timer. As such, I'm thinking of upgrading to a network-connected timer so that I can change my timer settings a bit more easily. and that I can access them outside my house. Is Open Sprinkler the unit to go with? There have been some newer offerings for network connected and smart sprinkler controllers in a comparable price range, and I was just wondering about your thoughts on them. So I haven't tested any of the newer stuff that's come out since the Open Sprinkler 2.0.
Is that
release
Chris
date.
Anderson's protocol?
He wrote. I think he contributed code or something to it. He wrote about it in one of his books.
Yeah,
Makers.
Makers, yeah. It's the guy who runs most of that is a Ray's Hobby Shop. His name's Ray. He's at Maker Faire every year. I really like it. I haven't had to fool with it. I haven't updated the firmware. I can go to a web page that is not a super pretty looking web page, but it is eminently understandable and easily programmed and do everything that I need to do in it. And it hasn't failed. Like my yard has not caught on fire as a result of sprinklers failing. So there you go.
That would be the opposite of what you want.
Right. The Open Sprinkler. The other nice thing about it is where the thing you buy at Lowe's that is internet connected costs $250 or $300 or something. Open Sprinkler was like $79 or $99. You need Ethernet in the place where you're going to plug that in, which is probably where your current sprinkler box is. Like upgrading your current sprinkler box to that is dead simple. You just basically you have to label the wires as they come off and then plug the ground in, plug the wires in. I use the old power dongle because it's a weird 24-volt power brick that came with my old sprinkler controller because it needs a little more voltage to trip the solenoids on the sprinkler switches. The tricky part was getting Ethernet in the garage if you didn't already have Ethernet in the garage.
Could you do a Ethernet over power line
You could
adapter?
do Ethernet over power. You could do
adding a lot of cost.
You could do a Wi-Fi bridge.
Oh, it's fast.
You're gonna have to do it in any of them because most of them aren't Wi-Fi connected. At least when I looked.
Yeah.
So and the software is all open source. So if you want to fix something or make it work better for you, then you could. I like the Open Sprinkler thing.
How much do you configure your sprinkler?
I
normally?
change it usually seasonally, or with the drought, I've obviously dialed stuff way back.
It should be a set it and forget it thing.
Well, except like in the wintertime when it's rainy, you don't need to run the sprinklers.
Yes. Are the boxes so dumb now, the existing boxes, that it's very difficult to just switch like 4 presets?
The box that I replaced was probably 8 years old, and it has a knob and 2 buttons to control everything, and it was like it made a microwave UI look really, really awesome. Like it was a phenomenally bad user interface experience.
A Tiger toy.
Yeah, Tiger. Like it was. I can't. It was so bad I can't think of anything. It's like old cameras, like old first gen digital cameras where you had like 12 menus and the settings were strewn liberally throughout them with no rhyme or reason. It's like a VCR programming. It was kind of that kind of level of bad. It was really gnarly. So I recommend. I like that thing. I don't know that it's the one to go with still. I'd look at people who do reviews of that stuff regularly. But I guess that'll do it for us. Jeremy Williams, thanks for coming by. How's Game Frame stuff going? Do you want to update folks?
Game Frame update.
No, man. I'm just doing assembly. So I'm up to about 200. I'm gonna move
that. Whoa.
Game Frame, yeah.
That's pretty good.
That video is gonna be so
Dick jokes.
edited by so many people.
I'm gonna go make a soundboard for that
What
this
a lovely
afternoon.
thing.
When are you expecting to ship the first units?
I
ask as an interested
I'm
party.
glad you asked because some people have missed the updates, and unfortunately, these power adapters will not be ready until the end of July, which is now next month. And so when those arrive, I can begin
You mean the power
shipping.
bricks?
Yeah. What did I
Yeah.
say? Power adapter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Power bricks, power supplies. So once those are in, Game Frames are out.
Wow, that's the last thing.
Yeah.
But by the time you get those power bricks, everything else should be ready to go.
Most of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How many are you making all told? Like 600?
About 600 assembled.
Whew, that's a
And
lot.
A few more maker kits.
Yeah.
And yeah.
We didn't talk about SMT surface mount soldering with you yet, but is that not the best thing ever?
It's really cool that you can do it at home. It
Yeah.
seems like something that would be out of reach.
Are you doing a hot plate or are you doing the?
I wish I had a hot plate.
Gun.
I mean, a hot plate's good regardless. 'Cause
Yeah.
it just kind of keeps it warm. But no, I have a hot air gun.
Okay.
And you're still taking orders for people who might want to purchase one who didn't
Yep.
get in on the Kickstarter?
Yep, ledsec.com, LEDSEQ, and I'll probably be capping this off at about 1,000. So I mean total. So that leaves about 150 left.
Are you going to sign a number of them if we ask?
Yes, if you ask, I will do that.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah.
So that'll do it for us. We'll be back next Thursday with another episode of This Is Only a Test. Hey,
My
we're gonna,
Bitcoin is $650.
You're even, almost.
No, it's actually 670 2 days ago. You know how difficult it is to get money out of Bitcoin?
It's what if you want to buy drugs, Norm?
Probably pretty easy.
Okay. What if you want to participate in human trafficking?
I would never want to. So I hope.
Have you ever wanted to launder money?
No.
Okay. Would you like to increase that money by a factor of 2 by laundering money for people who are doing illegal things with it?
I'm all right.
Okay. So you're just going to ride it all the way up and then down?
I will get at some point a check.
Can you not use the same
For the
machine
Bitcoin.
you used to buy Bitcoin?
You'd have to fly to Austin.
Yeah, that's
To
what we
with-
did.
to
Oh,
withdraw?
yes, you can with a terrible exchange rate. But also there's actually
You
there
could have
is
paid
an
a nickel.
There is an ATM in Palo Alto. That is a very good point. They just had one at the Hacker Dojo in Palo Alto has one. So if I want to go have the terrible exchange rate, then I could get real cash money. That is a fantastic point. Otherwise, right now my option is to wait for a check from an exchange, sell it through an exchange, and exchange charges $15 to mail a check out.
Did you see that Steve Wozniak liked our video?
I saw that. He said it was a funny Bitcoin video.
He said it was a funny
Quote,
Bitcoin
unquote,
video.
Bitcoin video.
You guys are famous.
Steve Wozniak.
Yeah.
He's famous.
There was some other piece of business. Oh, E3's next week. We're going to be at E3 on Wednesday. So we'll be prepared to talk about the E3 experience on Thursday during This Is Only a Test next week.
Jerry, did you see the Sony, the Oculus thing? The Samsung Oculus thing?
Oh, Samsung's doing one now too?
Wait, what? Yeah, phones. They want to make phones.
They want to make
Oculi.
They want to let you put Samsung phones into
a shell
that they will sell.
Yeah.
And they have partnered. This is not confirmed. The rumor is partnered with Oculus to certify the hardware and the experience. And Oculus does the software stuff. But we're talking about a big phone in the front of your face.
That sounds fucking terrible.
And a power connector probably for that phone. If you're going to watch a movie and have it run. But if this gives Oculus access to 1440p panel, 1400p 5.5-inch panel, then why the fuck not?
That sounds fucking terrible.
We'll see.
Terrible.
We don't know what their consumer version's going to be. Could be.
Dev kits are shipped. Did you order a dev kit too?
1400p.
Yeah.
Of course.
July.
Should come next month.
I'm so excited.
Man, dev kit 2 and game frame in 1 month.
Yeah.
We need to have TF2 night with the dev kit too.
That'd be funny.
Yeah. See you guys next week. Today's outro comes from Steven Westfeld. Hi there. I didn't see you. That's it.
And we could take all this charity money and buy like 4,000 pink berries. That's it. I'd fucking eat them all too.
I've been playing some TF2 recently.
Really?
Yeah.
Get back in the hat game?
Yeah, it's like 4 years since I booted that game.
I have probably almost 1,000 hours in that game, according to Steam, and it's literally been like 3 years since I played it.
Mm-hmm.
Has everything changed? The Man vs. Machine is the last big update I played.
It's confusing. The UI is different. You have to sort of pick your game mode. I'm not sure about all the maps and game modes, but I found that it's still exciting.
Still exciting. Still scratches that itch.
It does, and like you have a good game, you end up on the scoreboard at the end. It still gives you that good feeling.
I haven't had a good like multiplayer shooter. I played some Titanfall. It's not the same.
Yeah. The barrier in a lot of those games is the amount of the lobby time, the loading time.
Yeah.
You don't get the immediate, I want to play a game, boot up Quake world, you're in the game.
Yep. Yeah, TF2, you just it's like the hot needle to the vein all the way through until you jack out.
Nope.
Okay. See you guys next week.